Chapter 43-86. Land of Nothingness. This place was as desolate as ever. Just in case, the door to the divine kingdom had been sealed again and sent to the land of origin for little brat to personally guard. Brother Long, how long will it take for you to grasp the will of the heavenly Tao? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Long Chen and asked. Now that I have grasped the ultimate meaning of 4 supreme laws, I still lack the last 2. Moreover, I have already comprehended these 2 laws, I am just waiting to fuse the ultimate meaning of the inheritance. Long Chen smiled faintly. If that's the case, it shouldn't be long before I can grasp the will of the heavenly Tao. Demon Ancestor, Mu Tianyang, Mu Qing, Dong Zhengyang, and the others should be soon. However, I still have 1,000 inheritances left in my hands. Who will fuse these inheritances? Qin Feiyang frowned. If he went back like this, he would be a child of wealth. Sky Cloud Realm, 6,500 inheritances. Ancient Realm and Great Qin, 1,000 each. Now, he only had 1,000 inheritances left in his hands. There were still a lot of ultimate meaning of laws and ordinary laws left, but these things didn't have much meaning in this battle. Why don't we give them to the Yun family to fuse? Madman said. The Yun family had many sovereign realm powerhouses, they could solve the current urgent situation. I don't agree. This balance can't be broken. Moreover, the powerhouse of the will of the heavenly Tao must be in our hands. Long Chen made a rare objection. Madman looked at Long Chen in surprise. I'm not selfish. Because in this battle, the powerhouse of the will of the heavenly Tao is the key to determining the outcome. What if the people of the Yun family fuse with the inheritance and grasp the will of the heavenly Tao, they start to become arrogant and don't listen to our orders? Although we have the ability to suppress them, when we really face them, it will be a very troublesome matter. Long Chen voiced his concerns. I also agree with Big Brother. However, Yun Zhongtian and Yun Zhongyue can be nurtured. Long Qin also expressed his opinion. The Yun family was not a benevolent family to begin with. Back then in the Sky Cloud realm, the Yun family and the He family were at loggerheads. It wasn't entirely the He family's fault. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, how about this? Give the Yun family 100 inheritances. 100 is still too much. 10 portions. I think that's about it. That's right. 10 inheritances can create 10 experts with the will of the heavenly Tao. Such strength is almost on par with the current Protoss and Terrans. Longqin and Madman spoke one after another. Apart from the human supremacy and the divine king, only the supremacies of the deity race and the human race had mastered the will of the heavenly Tao. In other words, in the entire divine race, from top to bottom presently, there were merely over a dozen people who possessed the will of heavenly Tao. Since all of you say so, then fine. Let's go to the Black Tortoise world first. Qin Feiyang nodded. With a wave of his hand, a group of people appeared in the tea garden. They saw the white-eyed wolf sitting alone in the tea garden, drinking divine brew. His physical body had been reconstructed. To be able to reconstruct it so quickly, it was obvious that he went to find the mermaid princess. Seeing a group of people appear, he waved his hand and bared his teeth. Long Chen rolled his eyes, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, you make your own arrangements. I'm going into seclusion. After saying that, he ignored the white-eyed wolf, turned around, and strode away. Qin Feiyang also turned his head to look at Lin Yi and said with a smile, you should also go into seclusion. Integrate a few ultimate profundities of supreme laws first. It won't be too late to find your old enemy. I also plan to take a good stroll around the divine kingdom first. Lin Yi smiled playfully. Don't worry. There will be plenty of time in the future. With Lin Yi's current strength, Qin Feiyang was really worried about letting her wander around the divine kingdom alone. Okay. Lin Yi nodded, glanced around, and swept toward the west of the medicine field. Soon, she disappeared without a trace. Have you learned your lesson this time? Madman sat opposite the white-eyed wolf, took out a jar of divine wine, and laughed gloatingly. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips, looked up at Long Qin, and said, "Although I don't want to admit it, your father is really strong. Aren't you talking nonsense?" Long Qin rolled his eyes at him, turned around, and walked away quickly, leaving the white-eyed wolf with a proud back. "What's there to be proud of?" The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. "Others have the right to be proud." "Do you?" Qin Feiyang had a look of disdain on his face. With a thought, a flame lotus appeared. "What's wrong?" Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Give me the remaining 1,000 inheritances." Fire Lotus took out a universe ring and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Without asking anything, she immediately went back into seclusion. Qin Feiyang took out 10 inheritances and hesitated. "What are you doing?" Madman looked at him, puzzled. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "I'm thinking, Yun Zhongtian has been with us for so many years. Wouldn't it be a little stingy to give them 10 inheritances now? The one who accompanied us is Yun Zhongtian. What contribution did the rest of the Yun family make to us? Instead, they created a lot of trouble for us when we entered the Black Tortoise world. So now, to give them 10 inheritances is already considered kind." Madman sneered. "Yes. The Yun family should be thanking us. If we hadn't been protecting them, would they have the life they have now?" The white-eyed wolf also spoke. "That makes sense." Qin Feiyang nodded. He closed his eyes. Soon, he found Yun Zhongtian. Then, with a thought, Yun Zhongtian appeared in front of Qin Feiyang and the others from the middle state. Yun Zhongtian was stunned. When he found himself in the land of demons and saw Qin Feiyang and the others, a smile crept up his face. "Old Yun, this is for you." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and 10 inheritances flew to Yun Zhongtian. "This is?" Yun Zhongtian was puzzled. "10 inheritances, I hope you don't mind." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Inheritances." Yun Zhongtian shuddered and hurriedly opened the metal boxes. Seeing the inheritances inside with his own eyes, he became even more excited. 10 inheritances sounded very little, but one had to know that each inheritance contained 6 ultimate mysteries. 10 inheritances meant 60. 60 ultimate mysteries, who would have dared to think of that in the past? Hence, Yun Zhongtian could not help but feel that it was too little, but his face was filled with gratitude. In the Black Tortoise world, he had learned many things, and one of them was contentment. One must know how to be contented, only then would others like it. If one was greedy, not only would it arouse disgust, it would also implicate the people around you. Qin Feiyang asked, "How have your Yun family members been doing in the middle state all these years? With me personally overseeing it, how would they dare to act recklessly?" Yun Zhongtian smiled. "That's good. As for your Yun family members, I don't hope that they can help me with anything, but please don't give me any trouble." Qin Feiyang said. "Understood." Yun Zhongtian nodded. "Then you can go back." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Yun Zhongtian kept the inheritances, cupped his hands and thanked him, then turned around and flew away like lightning. This old man is quite tactful. White-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Yun Zhongtian, Yun Zhongyue, Yun Guanghui, Yun Zifeng, they have always been good, but that brother of Yun Guanghui is a little uncomfortable. Madman shook his head. After saying so much, aren't they just insensible? If they could be a little more sensible, we wouldn't have only given them 10 inheritances. This was the so-called losing the big for the small. Let's not talk about this, let's go to the sacred land to take a look. Qin Feiyang got up and smiled. Although it had only been a few days outside, the Black Tortoise world had been tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands of years was just a blink of an eye for them, but for those below the sovereign realm, it was still a very long time. Perhaps many disciples had already stepped into the sovereign realm. After all, he had given the sacred land the best resources and cultivation environment. A simple and unadorned hall was located at the top of a giant mountain. In front of the hall, there was a stone tablet that was 100 feet tall. On the stone tablet, there were two big words engraved, Sacred Land. This place was located in the eastern region. It was adjacent to the Devil's Land, separated only by a river. But this river was like a natural moat that separated the Devil's Land from the eastern region. Even if the disciples of the Sacred Land could see the Devil's Land on the other side, they couldn't reach it. Because above this river, there was a rule power, and with this rule power blocking it, no one could cross it. Around the hall, there were endless mountains and rivers. Green mountains and clear waters, the scenery was pleasant. In the mountains, there were countless caves of various sizes, and one could feel a powerful aura from afar. Swish! 3 figures descended in the sky. It was Qin Feiyang and the other two. Whoosh! Not long after Qin Feiyang and the other two arrived, 2 figures rushed out of the hall and quickly came to Qin Feiyang and bowed. These two were naturally Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. How is it? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Everything is going well. The two nodded. Creating this sacred land was one of the proudest things in their lives. Because here, all the geniuses of the Black Tortoise world were gathered. This place would also become the cradle for the birth of powerhouses in the future. Qin Feiyang glanced down. The energy of the crystal vein and soul vein here was not inferior to the Devil's Land. Moreover, precious treasures could be seen everywhere in the mountains. This place was originally a very ordinary mountain, but now it had been forcibly turned into a cultivation sacred land, a place that all the creatures of the Black Tortoise world wanted to come to. Why did you build the sacred land next to the Devil's Land? The white-eyed wolf was curious. This is a little trick of ours. Letting them see the Devil's Land at any time is more motivating. And we also told them that as long as they are outstanding and work hard enough, they will definitely have the opportunity to enter the Devil's Land in the future. Pai Lupi scratched his head and smiled. So that's how it is. Sure enough, it's a little trick. The white-eyed wolf shook his head and laughed. Qin Feiyang asked, then how has their strength improved over the years? It's definitely fast. With such good resources, if they are still as slow as a snail, then is there any value in cultivating them? Since the establishment of the sacred land, according to the time of the Black Tortoise world, it has been about 30,000 years. In these 30,000 years, many people of the perfect imperishable realm have successfully stepped into the half-step sovereign realm with the help of the law miniature. Pai Lupi said. Without the law miniature, no matter how monstrous a person was, it was impossible to be so fast. In other words, the law miniature was equivalent to a shortcut. Chapter 4387. How many are there now? Qin Feiyang asked. There are more than 3,000 sovereigns now. 2/3 of them are humans and 1/3 are beasts. Pai Lupi said. So many? Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. It was completely beyond their expectations. This is all thanks to the law miniatures. Although the law miniatures don't have much use for us now, it has great significance for these creatures who have yet to step into the sovereign realm. Theta Wang smiled. Aren't we being a bit impatient by doing this? Madman frowned. Instead, he was a little worried. Because these people were growing too fast. For example, if a pauper suddenly became rich, this kind of earth-shattering change was likely to affect their mentality. We have already considered this point. So every once in a while, we will carry out a life and death experience in order to sharpen their state of mind and cultivate their combat awareness, experience, courage, and courage. Pai Lupi said. That's more like it. Madman nodded and smiled. You guys are quite thoughtful. With this kind of comprehensive training, when they master the will of heaven in the future, they can immediately join the battle against the central dynasty. When Pai Lupi and Theta Wang heard this, they scratched their heads and felt a little embarrassed. Look, it's the sovereign. The sovereign personally came to our sacred ground. At this moment, someone noticed Qin Feiyang and the others in the sky. At this moment, one figure after another rose into the sky and gathered in the sky. Looking at the void that had turned into a sea of people in an instant, Qin Feiyang and the other two were shocked. The number of disciples in the sacred ground was beyond imagination. It was estimated that there were at least 5 to 6 million. There were humans and beasts. And all the beasts had transformed into human form in order to get along better with the humans. 5 to 6 million, if all of them grew up, what kind of scene would it be? There are still many disciples training outside. The total number of disciples in the sacred ground is about 7 million. Pai Lupi smiled. 7 million. The corners of Qin Feiyang and the others' mouths twitched. Wasn't this development too fast? There's no other way. Who asked our black tortoise world to only have one holy land for cultivation? Everyone is fighting to come here. Theta Wang smiled bitterly. The madman rolled his eyes and looked at the two of them. If that's the case, are you considering setting up a branch? Branch? The two of them were taken aback. Yes. Not just the eastern domain, but also the western domain, northern domain, and southern domain. That way, we can manage them separately. You don't have to be so tired. Madman said. So that's what you mean. We've also thought about this problem. Pai Lupi and the other two smiled and said, but we also have our concerns. What concerns? Qin Feiyang and the other two were suspicious. Although each of the 4 great domains has a holy land, the disciples of the 4 great domains might compete with each other over time, resulting in conflicts and conflicts. This might not be conducive to unity. On the contrary, if we put them all together under the same system and under our management, this kind of thing can be avoided. The two of them spoke of their concerns. This is indeed a problem. Qin Feiyang nodded. For example, the Dragon God Palace in the ancient domain. The southern, northern, western, and eastern Dragon God Palaces were secretly competing with each other. Moreover, if we set up a branch, the resources can't be distributed uniformly. There might be more or less deviation, and at that time, it will also cause dissatisfaction. There's also one more point. If we manage them separately, we won't be able to run up and down. The two of them smiled. Indeed. We won't interfere in the matters of the Holy Land. You guys can do as you see fit. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and smiled. The two of them looked at each other. Seeing Qin Feiyang's trust in them, they were even more determined to build this holy land well and not let Qin Feiyang worry at all. Qin Feiyang looked at the disciples around him. Among these people, there were teenagers, as well as white-haired old men. Although these old people were old, they were still disciples of the Holy Land. Perhaps some people would say that they were already so old, so why were they still competing with the young people for cultivation resources? In fact, this was the standard for the Holy Land to recruit disciples. No matter how old you are, as long as you have good talent and good character, you can become a member of the Holy Land and enjoy the same treatment. Are you satisfied with the resources and cultivation environment of the Holy Land? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Yes. Everyone roared. This was simply a paradise for cultivators. It's good that you are satisfied. My efforts were not in vain. But Qin Feiyang suddenly changed the topic and said with a bit of fierceness, letting you enter the Holy Land is not for you to be greedy for pleasure, but to train you to become a force to fight against the central dynasty in the future. Lord Ruler, you don't have to specifically say this. Because when we were taking the test, Pai Lupi and Theta Wang already explained it to us. The Holy Land's existence is a sharp knife in Lord Ruler's hand. We can die in battle at any time. But we are not afraid. Yes. To be able to fight side by side with Lord Ruler and do our part to protect the Black Tortoise realm, we can die without regrets. Their voices were sonorous and forceful. Everyone's expression carried a will to face death with equanimity. This time, it was Qin Feiyang who was moved. Looking at these people in front of him, he felt that everything he did was worth it. He also firmly believed that his previous decision was the right one. Instead of spending so much effort to cultivate the uncertain elements of the Yun family, it was better to cultivate these beings of the Black Tortoise realm. Because these beings were the ones who were truly worth his efforts. Thank you. Thank you all for supporting me as always. Although you all say that I am the ruler of the Black Tortoise realm, I have always believed that without all of you, I would be nothing. This is not my Black Tortoise realm, it is your Black Tortoise realm. This is our common home. From today onwards, let us use our lives to protect this home. Anyone who dares to invade my home will be killed, no matter how far away they are. Qin Feiyang bowed deeply to all the disciples of the Holy Land. No matter how far away they are, they will be killed. The disciples below also roared, their battle cries shaking the sky. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and swept his gaze over everyone. He smiled and said, "Senior brother, White-Eyed Wolf, with these people here, why should we fear the Central Dynasty?" Yes. The mad scientist and White-Eyed Wolf looked at each other, a bright smile creeping onto their faces. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the yin and yang rings given to him by Fire Lotus appeared. He handed them to Pai Lupi and Theta Wang and said, "There are 990 ultimate intense inheritances here. You too can make the arrangements." Yes. The two of them took the interspatial rings with trembling hands. Even the inheritance of the ultimate Upanishads was given to them without worry. This was more than just trust in them. He simply treated them as his brothers. Good luck. Qin Feiyang smiled and led the White-Eyed Wolf and Madman away. Farewell, Lord Ruler. The disciples of the Holy Land bowed and sent him off. After Qin Feiyang and the other two left, everyone immediately looked at the interspatial ring in Pai Lupi's hand. Inheritance? What inheritance? Who? Pai Lupi took a deep breath and exchanged a glance. Then, he turned to the Holy Land disciple and said, "The inheritances here are all ultimate profundities of the strongest laws. The Lord Sovereign prepared them for our Holy Land." What? The inheritance of the earliest laws and ultimate profundity. Oh my God! Is this true? I'm not dreaming, am I? Lord Ruler, not only did you give us the law miniatures and help us open the door to potential, you even gave us such a good cultivation environment. Now, you're even giving us the inheritance of an ultimate law? He gave us everything and created our lives. We definitely won't let him down. We pledge our lives to the Lord Sovereign. Many disciples couldn't help but shout excitedly. The door of potential was also arranged by Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. After all, they didn't have much time. They had to open the door of potential to improve everyone's comprehension. This way, they could quickly comprehend the various laws. As for the potential pill, they didn't look for Qin Feiyang but went directly to Dan Wangkai. Because Qin Feiyang had given them the power of the Holy Land, it meant that no matter what decision they made, Qin Feiyang would support them. Moreover, they were sincerely thinking for the Holy Land and didn't have any selfish motives. Of course. Not all disciples had opened the door of potential. Opening the door of potential required some conditions and tests. Pai Lupi suppressed his excitement and secretly discussed with Theta Wang for a while. Looking at the disciples below, he said loudly, "From today onwards, our Holy Land will establish a higher-level mysterious organization." Mysterious organization? The disciples below stopped their clamor and looked at the two suspiciously. That's right. The name of this mysterious organization is the Holy Hall. But don't think that this is a good thing. The Templar Hall was established for the Lord Ruler. Every disciple of the Templar Hall can enjoy better treatment than now, but at the same time, they will face greater danger. Thus, before entering the Templar Hall, you must be prepared to die. If you're afraid of death, I advise you not to come to the Holy Hall. Theta Wang said solemnly. If we're afraid of death, we won't even come to the Holy Land. The two of you, just tell us, how can we enter the Holy Hall? The disciples below roared. 3 conditions. First, step into the Lord Realm. Second, obtain the ultimate profundity of the strongest laws. Third, take the responsibility of protecting the Black Tortoise world. Pai Lupi said. We can fulfill the first and third conditions, but the second condition, obtaining the ultimate profundity of the strongest laws, shouldn't be easy, right? After all, there are only 990 of them now, someone said. Don't worry. As long as you're willing to work hard, our Lord Sovereign will send us even more inheritances. Now, I will announce the first batch of people to enter the Holy Hall. Those whose names I call, come here and receive an inheritance. Furthermore, you must all swear a blood oath to forever be loyal to the Holy Hall, to the Lord Sovereign, and to protect the Black Tortoise world. Ma Qionghui, Wu Xiaoxiao, Lai Xinjuan, Yin Haimen, Wan Jing, Sha Hongrong, Shuihengqing, Wen Yi, Sun Ru, Wei Ning, Long Jingquan, Gao Yingqiu. Pai Lupi handed the spatial ring to Theta Wang and read out the names one by one. Those whose names were called out excitedly ran to Theta Wang and received their inheritances one after another. After receiving their inheritances, they all swore a blood oath. There were even some who swore a blood oath before receiving their inheritances. Chapter 43-88. In the distance. Above a mountain peak. 3 figures stood side by side. It was Qin Feiyang and the other 2 who had already left. In fact, they didn't really leave before, but stood here to see how the disciples of the sacred land would react when they saw the inheritance. But they didn't expect to see this scene. Sacred Hall. What a majestic and domineering name. To be honest, sometimes one really had to admire the brains and abilities of Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. All the tasks given to them were done properly, and they didn't need to worry at all. The birth of the Sacred Hall undoubtedly gave the disciples of the Sacred Land a new goal. Because now, only those who entered the Sacred Hall were the true geniuses. Whether it was glory or status, it was not something other disciples could compare to. The most important thing was, those who entered the Sacred Hall had to first make a blood oath. In this way, there would never be any betrayal in the future. The Sacred Hall would also become the highest authority in the Black Tortoise world. Frenzy shook his head and smiled. The scale of the Sacred Land has been established, now we have things to do again. What are you busy with? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Isn't that nonsense? Now that time is tight, how can we wait for them to comprehend their own laws? Therefore, we have to find even more ultimate profundities of ultimate laws. Frenzy said. That's true. To compete with the Death God army, we have to have at least 50 to 60,000 will of heaven powerhouses around us. Damn, 50 to 60,000? How many ultimate laws do we need to comprehend? The white-eyed wolf roughly calculated and was dumbfounded on the spot. Even if the god race, the human race, and the purple-gold divine dragon clan attacked, even if they wiped out the 3 races in one fell swoop, they probably wouldn't be able to gather so many. This is indeed a difficult problem. However, it's not impossible. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. What? You really plan to attack the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon clan? The white-eyed wolf was surprised. Attack the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon clan? What do you mean? Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at the white-eyed wolf in confusion. Nothing, the white-eyed wolf reacted and hurriedly waved his hand. He had accidentally exposed his inner thoughts. Fortunately, the king and heavenly lord Ji weren't here. Otherwise, they would definitely fight him to the death. Qin Feiyang looked at each other and gave the white-eyed wolf a strange look. This guy was too sneaky. He even had designs on the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon race. I'm just thinking about it. White-eyed wolf laughed dryly. Madman smirked, don't worry, just think about it. I'll tell the king and uncle later. Don't. Aren't you harming me? The white-eyed wolf quickly begged for mercy. You know fear too? Madman rolled his eyes. He couldn't even think about it. I have an idea. Let's go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and swept the 2 of them away. The land of the devil. In a courtyard. The king, heavenly lord Ji, and Ji Tianyue were sitting in the courtyard, drinking tea and chatting happily. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang and the other 2 landed outside the courtyard. Madman kicked the courtyard door open. It seemed like he used a lot of force, but it was actually very light. He looked at the king and chuckled, we've already returned to the divine kingdom, but you don't have any intention of leaving. Are you planning to stay in the Black Tortoise world for the rest of your life? I do have this idea. Anyway, Ji Yunhai is in charge of the purple gold divine dragon race's affairs. The king nodded. He was very serious. Madman's mouth twitched. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf walked in one after another. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, you can stay as long as you want, but you have to think carefully. If they don't see you for too long, the Central Dynasty might become suspicious. The people sent by the Central Dynasty a few years ago either died or fled. They definitely won't come back in a short period of time. The king waved his hand indifferently. Not necessarily. Let's contact Ji Yunhai and the others first. Let them know that we're back so they can rest assured. Qin Feiyang said and took out the divine sound transmission stone. However, after a while, Ji Yunhai didn't respond. What's going on? In an instant, the few people present became nervous. Don't panic. I'll send a message to the Divine King and Jizun. Qin Feiyang comforted them and activated the divine sound transmission stone again. However, the Divine King and Jizun also didn't respond for a long time. It can't be that they're all entangled with something. Could it be that something happened to them? Heavenly Lord Ji was surprised. Qin Feiyang's heart couldn't help but sink. Ji Tianyue pondered for a moment and looked at the king and said, how about we send a message to great-grandfather and the others? Okay. The king nodded and also took out the divine sound transmission stone. Buzz. Finally, a shadow appeared. It was Jizhou. Jiu. Everyone got up and bowed to Jizhou. Jizhou looked at Ji Tianyue. Qin Feiyang, the madman, the white-eyed wolf, and even the king and heavenly lord Ji were directly ignored by Jizhou. There was only Ji Tianyue in his eyes. His old eyes were full of joy. Ninth great-grandfather. Looking at the old man in front of her who had always loved her, Ji Tianyue's eyes couldn't help but turn red. How many years had it been? She thought that she would never see this old man again. Don't cry. It's good that you're back safely. Where are you now? Come to the village immediately. I'll inform Big Brother and the others. Without waiting for Qin Feiyang and the others to respond, Ji Jiao turned off the divine sound transmission stone. These old men really love my little sister the most. Heavenly Lord Ji said sourly. Of course. Ji Tianyue wiped away her tears and looked at Heavenly Lord Ji with dissatisfaction. Why didn't you visit them often in the past? You have to have a conscience. I used to be the patriarch of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan. How could I have the time to visit them every day? Heavenly Lord Ji said angrily. Were you born to be the patriarch of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan? When I left the Divine Kingdom back then, you were just a kid. Ji Tianyue snorted coldly. How can you say that? When you left the Divine Kingdom back then, I had already grasped the ultimate meaning of 3 supreme laws. How could I still be called a kid? Don't talk nonsense in front of these juniors. Heavenly Lord Ji glared at him. The leaving of the Divine Kingdom here referred to the first time the Divine Kingdom invaded the Sky Cloud realm. Uncle, don't worry. We will never laugh at you. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Get lost. Heavenly Lord Ji's face darkened. Okay. Let's go to the village and see what's going on. The Divine King, Jizun, and second brother didn't respond to our messages. There must be something wrong. The king said in a deep voice. He was very worried now. But thinking about it, it didn't make sense. It had only been a few days since they left the Divine Kingdom. How could something unexpected happen? It's indeed a little strange. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the king and the other two. Just in case, senior brother, the white-eyed wolf, and I will go out first. When we reach the village, we will call you out. Okay. The king nodded. In the village. At this moment, at the entrance of the village, the 15 old men stood together, looking into the distant void with expectant gazes. After waiting for so many years, the little girl finally came back. How could they not be excited? Buzz. While waiting anxiously, a space-time passage suddenly appeared in the sky. The group of old men quickly looked up. 3 figures came out of the space-time passage. However, seeing the 3 of them, the group of old men didn't feel happy at all. Their eyes darkened and there was a trace of worry, but they quickly concealed it. Because the 3 of them weren't Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, or the lunatic. What are you doing here again? Looking at the 3 of them, Boss Ji frowned. The 3 of them were middle-aged. The person in the lead was about 7 feet tall. He was rather thin, and his chiseled face seemed somewhat cold. The other 2 men stood behind him. Their figures were extremely tall and sturdy, and they exuded a valiant aura from head to toe. It seems that you don't want to see us. The thin middle-aged man chuckled. Isn't it obvious? Boss Ji muttered. He was also very anxious. Qin Feiyang and the others were about to reach the village, but the 3 of them came halfway. Wouldn't they bump into them later? What's the matter? Boss Ji asked impatiently. Can't we come here if there's nothing? But why are you all gathered at the village entrance? Are you waiting for someone? Could it be that you know we're coming in advance, so you're waiting for us here? The thin middle-aged man laughed. Waiting for you? You really think you're a big shot? We're just going to have tea and discuss some family matters. If you don't have anything else, get out of here. Don't disturb us. Boss Ji waved his hand impatiently. He didn't look good at all. Looking at the attitude of the group of old men, the 2 burly men obviously showed a trace of anger on their faces. But the thin middle-aged man didn't seem to be affected at all. He landed at the village entrance and smiled. Actually, I'm here to ask about the whereabouts of the monarch. The whereabouts of the monarch? Didn't we ask you to find Ji Yunhai last time? Boss Ji frowned. I've looked for him. But Ji Yunhai doesn't know where the monarch is? And I can't get in touch with the voice transmission stone. You're all elders of the monarch, so I'm sure you know. Can you stop hiding it from me? I really have something to discuss with the monarch. The thin middle-aged man said helplessly. We really don't know. We only heard that he's in seclusion somewhere. Boss Ji shook his head. You old bastards, don't be so shameless. We're from the Central Dynasty. No matter what we do, you have to cooperate with us unconditionally. The two burly men couldn't hold back the anger in their hearts and shouted at Boss Ji and the others. What did you say? The group of old men's eyes turned cold. Especially Boss Ji. He had a fiery personality. How could he hold back when he saw the arrogant attitude of the two men and their overbearing tone? His body immediately emitted a monstrous aura, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He laughed sinisterly. Say it again if you dare. Chapter 43-89. The two burly men looked at each other and took a step forward. A terrifying aura surged towards Ji Laoshi. You really dare to attack? Ji Laoshi laughed. I was worried that I wouldn't have a chance to let you go. But just as he was about to attack, the skinny middle-aged man suddenly raised his hands and stopped the two burly men. The two burly men looked at the skinny middle-aged man in confusion. Are you stupid? They all have 3,000 incarnations and will of the heavenly Tao. What good will it do us to have a falling out with them here? The skinny middle-aged man glared at the two and said, Others are unreasonable, but we can't be unreasonable. After all, we are from the Central Dynasty and represent the face of the Central Dynasty. Ji Laoshi sneered and didn't say anything. Who was it that came here shamelessly to pester them? They even said that they were unreasonable. If it wasn't for Qin Feiyang and the others coming, the three of them wouldn't be able to leave so easily. Since you don't welcome us, then let's go. The skinny middle-aged man said and opened a space-time tunnel. But just as the three of them were about to enter the space-time tunnel, another space-time tunnel appeared in the sky. Shit! Boss Ji and the others knew that things weren't good. They really bumped into them. What should they do now? They were very anxious. But they didn't dare to reveal any flaws and looked at the space-time tunnel in the sky suspiciously. The skinny middle-aged man and the other two also stopped and looked up. A familiar aura surged out from the space-time tunnel. It's those three brats. The group of old men's palms were sweating. The skinny middle-aged man and the other two revealed a trace of suspicion. Because they hadn't seen Qin Feiyang and the others with their own eyes, they couldn't distinguish their aura. But they could tell that these three auras were very strong. Finally, Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf walked out from the space-time tunnel. The skinny middle-aged man and the others stared angrily. Wasn't that Qin Feiyang and the others? Although they hadn't seen Qin Feiyang and the others with their own eyes, they knew what they looked like. What was going on? Why did these three come to the village? At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the other two walked out of the space-time passageway and looked down at the village below. When they saw the three unfamiliar faces, they could not help but be stunned. Who were these three people? He had never seen it before. They are from the Central Dynasty. Suddenly, Boss Ji's voice rang in the minds of Qin Feiyang and the other two. Someone from the Central Dynasty. Qin Feiyang and the other two felt a chill in their hearts. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feiyang immediately came up with a solution. He looked at Boss Ji and the others and smiled. I didn't expect you to have guests today. The mad scientist and the white-eyed wolf came to their senses as well. They glanced at Boss G and the others with sneers in their eyes. "What are you doing here?" Boss G immediately understood what Qin Feiyang meant. He looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two and said in a deep voice. "Huh!" Qin Feiyang and the other two burst into laughter. "What are you laughing at?" Boss G's eyes darkened. "I'm laughing at your stupidity. Everyone knows that we are irreconcilable with your purple gold divine dragon clan. What else can we do here other than to settle accounts with you? Are we here to give you our blessings?" Qin Feiyang's face was full of ridicule. "You're courting death." The group of old men emitted a shocking killing intent. "Don't be in a hurry to make a move. Aren't you going to introduce these three? Who are they to your purple gold divine dragon clan? I don't think I've seen them before." Qin Feiyang looked at the skinny middle-aged man and the other two. The two burly men stared at Qin Feiyang and the other two and said to the skinny middle-aged man, "The courage of these three is indeed worthy of their reputation. They actually dared to come to this village so openly. Isn't this normal? Mount Supreme, God's Island, the purple gold divine dragon clan's territory. They often visit those places." The skinny middle-aged man thought. His superb acting skills didn't make the three suspicious at all. They really thought that Qin Feiyang and the other two were here to cause trouble for the village. Boss G glanced at the skinny middle-aged man and the other two, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said calmly, "We don't know them." "You don't know them? If you don't know them, why would they be here as guests? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid?" Qin Feiyang sneered. The skinny middle-aged man chuckled and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Qin Feiyang, right?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "You're really arrogant." The skinny middle-aged man smiled. "You flatter me." At this time, they really had to be arrogant. Otherwise, this show wouldn't be real. "You really aren't humble at all. But, do you know this village well? Coming here so confidently, aren't you afraid of kicking an iron plate?" The skinny middle-aged man looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two with a mocking expression. He had heard of the three's methods, and they were indeed ridiculously strong. However, every old man here had 3,000 incarnations. It could be said that this seemingly simple village was actually a tiger's den. Qin Feiyang had 3,000 incarnations, but how could he compare with these 15 old men? Iron plate? Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. The skinny middle-aged man raised an eyebrow. Crazy Man laughed. "Looks like you're not from the 4 continents, because you don't know us at all. The last thing we're afraid of is kicking an iron plate. Is that so?" Hearing this, the skinny middle-aged man's eyebrows relaxed. He turned to the group of old men and smiled. "Everyone, they're already openly provoking you. Are you still going to hold back?" It was as if they were watching a show. "Shut up." Ji Laoshi glared at the skinny middle-aged man, then looked up at Qin Feiyang and the other two with a gloomy expression. However, he secretly said, "We can't kill these three, at least we can't. Because their souls are in the Central Dynasty." "Their souls are in the Central Dynasty?" Qin Feiyang and the other two frowned. This was really a little troublesome. Ji Laoshi said again. "And at this time, if you kill them, we can't just sit by and watch. So, quickly think of a good reason to leave." Now, they really needed a good reason. Because Qin Feiyang and the other two had already stated that they came to the village to cause trouble, it would be abnormal if they didn't find a good reason to leave now. "Then, let's fight first. We'll escape later if we can't win." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he transmitted his voice to the group of old men. "Okay. Then, don't blame us for being heavy-handed later." Ji Jiu secretly said with a hint of mockery in his eyes. These three brats, I've long wanted to beat you up. How dare you have any ideas about this old man's tea garden in the future? Looking at Ji Jiu's eyes, Qin Feiyang and the other two couldn't help but feel guilty. This old man, is he going to avenge private grudges? Old bastard, take this! Madman roared. 6 ultimate laws were activated, and with the power to destroy heaven and earth, they blasted towards the village below. How dare you! Ji Laoshi took 11 steps forward and also attacked with all his strength. 8 ultimate laws roared in all directions and collided with Madman's 6 ultimate laws. Terrifying battle fluctuations suddenly erupted and rolled out in all directions. Not good, quickly stop the battle fluctuations. Ji Laoshi roared. A group of old men soared into the sky and the power of law surged out, sealing off all directions. A battle of this level was indeed enough to destroy everything. Puff! At the same time, Madman spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. A 6 paths ultimate intent against an 8 paths ultimate intent would naturally be crushed. Just this? The thin middle-aged man and the other two were stunned. The infamous Madman Mo only had this much strength? Kiki. Madman stabilized his footsteps and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth while staring at Ji Laoshi. A wave of evil force spread out. Immediately, streaks of terrifying sword chi surged out in all directions with Madman as the center. You can't continue to fight here, or else everyone within a radius of 10 billion miles will be destroyed. Ji Laoshi roared. What does the destruction of your divine kingdom have to do with me? Madman laughed wildly. Accompanied by a loud clang, the all-evil sword appeared and the terrifying sword energy roared as it tore through the sky. What is this? The thin middle-aged man and the other two were shocked. This power had already far surpassed the ultimate laws. All-evil sword. An existence comparable to the sword of faith. I finally have the chance to personally experience this super-killing technique. Ji Laoshi sneered. All-evil sword? An existence comparable to the sword of faith. The thin middle-aged man and the other two were frightened when they heard this. They all knew about the sword of faith of the human sovereign and its terrifying destructive power, but they didn't expect Madman Mo to have a killing technique of the same level. As expected, these people couldn't be underestimated. Boom! The all-evil sword was invincible, and Ji Laoshi's 8 ultimate laws were shattered on the spot. Immediately after, the all-evil sword crazily charged towards Ji Laoshi. Ji Laoshi also spurted out a mouthful of old blood. Looking at the all-evil sword, his eyes were filled with fear. This super-killing technique, if one didn't have the means of 3,000 incarnations, it would be impossible to block it. In other words, the all-evil sword could already be called an invincible existence. After all, there weren't many people in the world who had 3,000 incarnations. Even in their purple-gold divine dragon clan, there were only a dozen people who had 3,000 incarnations. Moreover, he could clearly feel that Madman's all-evil sword seemed to be stronger than before. Could it be that the all-evil sword was the same as the sword of faith? As Madman absorbed more and more evil force, its destructive power would also become stronger? This was because the sword of faith would become more powerful as it absorbed more faith. If that was the case, then in the end, to what extent would the all-evil sword grow? Against the world's sovereign? In fact, it could even compete with the origin energy? It was hard to imagine. Swish! In the nick of time, Ji Laoshi activated his 3,000 incarnations, and tens of thousands of ultimate laws appeared. The terrifying aura shook the world, and even Boss Ji and the others couldn't block it. Laoshi, go to the Star River. Ji Laojiu roared. Chapter 4390. Let's fight in the galaxy. Ji Laoshi stared at the lunatic and roared. He then led his 3,000 clones and charged into the galaxy without looking back. Afraid of you? The lunatic grinned. He grabbed the all-evil sword and charged forward. Why does it look like they're really going all out? Are they going to turn the show into a real one? The white-eyed wolf said telepathically. Qin Feiyang looked at Ji Laoshi and then at Boss Ji and the others. Maybe these old men have long wanted to fight us head-on. In the previous battle, Boss Ji and the others were no match for Qin Feiyang. In the end, the group of old men had to join forces to suppress Qin Feiyang. They probably weren't convinced. After all, they were the strongest in the divine nation, and they had to join forces to suppress a junior. This was more or less a loss of face. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang and the lunatic also charged into the galaxy. Boss Ji and the others followed closely behind. What should we do? The two burly men looked at the skinny middle-aged man. Nonsense. This is such a rare opportunity. We have to follow. The skinny middle-aged man glared at the two. As long as these 15 old men were completely enraged, Qin Feiyang and the other two would definitely die. The galaxy. The lunatic and Ji Laoshi had already clashed. 24,000 esoteric meanings destroyed the galaxy. It was unstoppable. The lunatic waved his hand and the all-evil sword flew out of his hand. Endless power of all evil roared out from his body and poured into the all-evil sword. Clang! The 10,000 evil sword, which was originally 3 feet long, immediately began to expand. Moreover, the power and sharpness it emitted became more and more terrifying. As expected. His all-evil sword is becoming stronger as the power of all evil increases. Everyone's heart trembled when they saw this scene. The little lunatic is also going all out. The white-eyed wolf murmured. Qin Feiyang nodded. Clang! In just a few breaths, the all-evil sword became a huge sword and its terrifying sharpness destroyed the galaxy. I'd like to see how strong the 3,000 clones are. Madman roared. The giant sword that was 10,000 feet long moved with a loud rumble. It was as if it was formed from blood, and a murderous aura filled the sky. Rumble. In an instant. The sword of all evil collided with the 24,000 ultimate intents, resulting in a destructive ripple that swept across the place like a surging tide. A shocking scene followed. The all-evil sword seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth apart as it continued to shatter the ultimate intents. In just the blink of an eye, thousands of ultimate mysteries were annihilated. How is this possible? Why do I feel that it's even more terrifying than the sword of faith of the human sovereign? Ji Laoshi was shocked. Because he understood the sword of faith very well. It was impossible for the sword of faith of the current human sovereign to achieve such a feat. In other words, Madman's speed of growth was even faster than the human race's supremes. Faith needs to be born slowly. And there are restrictions. Because the number of humans in the West continent has always been limited. If the power of faith of the human sovereign wants to grow, it must obtain the faith of other races. But the power of all evil is different. The power of all evil is everywhere. Moreover, it has no restrictions. All living beings in the world, and no matter how kind they are, they will more or less produce killing intent, evil intent, resentment, and evil intent. As long as there are killing intent, evil intent, and resentment, the power of all evil in the world will not disappear. And Madman controls the source of all evil, so he is the master of all evil. Although he doesn't deliberately absorb the power of all evil, because of the source of all evil, all the power of all evil in the world has been gathering toward him. In short, although he doesn't deliberately absorb it, he is absorbing the power of all evil in the world at any time and place. Therefore, his growth is incomparable to that of the human sovereign. Boss G whispered. Yes. After fusing with the source of all evil, he is now the source of all evil himself. Ji Jiu nodded. All along, Madman had not deliberately absorbed the power of all evil in the world, which led many people to think that his power of all evil had not increased. They thought that the sword of all evil was still the same as before. But little did they know. Madman was now the source of all evil. The power of all evil in the world was constantly pouring into his body, but all of this was invisible and no one could see it. It meant that, his power of all evil did not need him to cultivate, nor did he need to actively absorb it. It was growing stronger every moment. This was the most terrifying part of Madman now. It was also his previous life that created him. The Blood Demon King in his previous life did not succeed in fusing with the source of all evil, so he stayed in hell. In the end, the madman of this life succeeded in fusing with it and turned into the god of all evil. Rumble, the 24,000 ultimate meaning were still shattering. This sword of all evil seemed to be so powerful that it could defy the heavens. This scene not only shocked Boss G and the others, even Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were dumbfounded. They never expected, in these short years, Madman's power of all evil had unknowingly grown to such a level. Even Madman's brothers, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, were like this, not to mention the three thin middle-aged men who were seeing Madman for the first time. Their faces were filled with disbelief. If it were them, they would have been dead by the sword of all evil long ago. Crack! Just as the sword of all evil was shattering the 10,000 ultimate meaning, suddenly accompanied by a loud noise, the sword of all evil finally cracked and then quickly collapsed. Obviously, this was the limit of the sword of all evil. But even if the sword of all evil was shattered, the shock in everyone's heart could not be calmed down for a long time. With just the power of one sword, he shattered 10,000 ultimate meaning. And they were all the strongest law ultimate meaning, and they all carried the will of the heavenly Tao. This level of divine might was something that even those high-level sovereign divine weapons couldn't compare to. The thin middle-aged man roared, "This child must not be left alive, otherwise, who knows how far he will grow in the future. Ji Laoshe, quickly get rid of him." His eyes were filled with killing intent. If this madman Mo was allowed to continue growing, he would definitely become the #1 enemy of the central dynasty in the future. Ji Laoshe looked at the thin middle-aged man, and a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. He actually wanted him to kill this little madman? What a joke. If not for the fact that you left your divine soul in the central dynasty, this old man would have killed you first. The stronger madman was, the happier Ji Laoshe was. Not to mention the future, just Madman's current strength was enough to destroy 1,000 Death God army. However, the show still had to continue. The remaining 14,000 ultimates attacked Madman in a frenzy. At this moment, Madman's face was pale, and his body was weak, as if he himself had reached his limit. After all, with the power of this sword, he had shattered 10,000 ultimate meaning that contained the will of the heavenly Tao, and the power of all evil was almost exhausted. It's your turn. Let me see, where is the limit of your heaven-devouring beast battle soul? Qin Feiyang laughed inwardly. The limit of this brother's battle soul? If I say it, I'm afraid it will scare you. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Then why don't you tell me? Qin Feiyang secretly said. Not telling you. The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. This bastard is always so mysterious. Even the domain of Dong Hanzong and the others could be swallowed effortlessly. The limit of this white-eyed wolf's battle soul must be very high. If you don't make a move, this little madman will really be gone. The white-eyed wolf secretly said. Qin Feiyang helplessly stared at him, activated instant time, and took a step forward, instantly appearing in front of Madman. Hee hee. This daddy is about to catch up with you. Madman bared his teeth. You think you can catch up with me just because you can shatter 10,000 ultimate meaning? Senior brother, it's still early. Don't forget, I have mastered the law of life and death, and I also have dual will of heavenly Tao. Qin Feiyang laughed. Boom! 3,000 clones were activated. 3,000 ultimate meaning of the law of life and death instantly appeared in the sky, and the dual will of heavenly Tao erupted. In a one-on-one fight, let me ask you, which one of you is my opponent? Qin Feiyang looked at Boss Ji and the others with a domineering smile. He then waved his hand, and the 3,000 ultimate meaning of the law of life and death were like a torrent of beasts, crushing the 14,000 ultimate meaning. This is the lethality of the law of life and death and the dual will of heavenly Tao. The skinny middle-aged man and the others looked at this scene, and their scalps went numb. Too strong. This is the true invincible realm. Destroy. Qin Feiyang said faintly, and the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death fell. Ji Laosher's face changed drastically, and he quickly retreated. Even so, his physical body, including the 3,000 clones behind him, were shattered on the spot. His divine soul rushed to the side of Boss Ji and the others, and his eyes were filled with fear. This brat's current strength was too terrifying. Even he could only be killed in seconds. In the entire Divine Kingdom, apart from the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, who else had the ability to fight this brat one-on-one? Chapter 3, Release at 9:30. What I love the most is seeing you in such a desperate state. The middle-aged man laughed heartily. You're courting death. The white-eyed wolf's eyes flashed with killing intent as he activated his 6 ultimate mysteries. You still want to kill us? Are you dreaming? The 3 of them sneered. Boom! Rays of ultimate mysteries were activated. The will of heavenly path was like a volcanic eruption, enveloping all directions. They actually mastered the will of heavenly path? The white-eyed wolf was astonished. Wasn't this prey delivered to his doorstep? He was still worried about where to find the ultimate mysteries of the ultimate law. Are you afraid? Unfortunately, it's too late. We'll send you to hell first. The thin middle-aged man sneered. Immediately, more than a dozen ultimate mysteries were directed at the white-eyed wolf. 3 good-for-nothings who boast shamelessly. The white-eyed wolf's eyes were surging with killing intent. The heaven-swallowing battle soul was born. The galaxy began to collapse at once, as though it was the end of the world. What is this? The thin middle-aged man and the other 2 were bewildered. Swallow. The white-eyed wolf roared as the battle soul opened its mouth wide. More than a dozen ultimate mysteries of the trio were swallowed by the battle soul in one gulp. There was no wind at all. The trio was instantly dumbfounded. There was actually such a thing? Forcefully swallowing their ultimate mysteries? What was this? It was so terrifying. The white-eyed wolf said with contempt, "Trash like you dare to be arrogant in front of me? Who gave you the guts?" The trio trembled in fear. They did not expect the golden-winged wolf king's means to be so shocking. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he landed beside the white-eyed wolf in frenzy. He laughed, "You still treat us as fools. If we didn't have full confidence, would we dare to kill our way into this village?" "What do you mean?" The thin middle-aged man and the other 2 were bewildered. "It seems that you really don't know much about us. We never do things that we are not confident in." Qin Feiyang shook his head and sneered. He looked at the entrance of the galaxy and bowed, "Welcome, heaven-swallowing beast and ice dragon." Heaven-swallowing beast. Ice dragon. Boss Ji and the others were shocked and quickly turned to look at the entrance of the galaxy. Seeing this, the thin middle-aged man and the other 2 also turned to look at the entrance of the galaxy. However, There was no one outside the entrance of the galaxy. What's going on? Wait. We've been fooled. The group of people reacted and immediately turned to look at Qin Feiyang and the other two, only to see that the three of them had already opened a space-time tunnel and walked in without looking back. Who is the stupid one to be fooled by such a small trick? Frenzy's mocking laughter came from the space-time tunnel. Damn it! Bastard! The thin middle-aged man and the other two were furious and crazily attacked the space-time tunnel. But when they went to destroy the space-time tunnel, Qin Feiyang and the other two had already left. These three little bastards, they said it as if it was true. Even I was shocked by them. Boss G's mouth twitched. The others also had a bitter smile. They really thought that the heaven-swallowing beast and ice dragon were here. At least they ran away quickly, otherwise this old man would really teach them a lesson today. Ji Jiu secretly snorted. Hearing this, Boss G and the others looked at each other. They were really impressed by this old man. It had been so long and he was still holding a grudge. Immediately, the group of old men looked at the thin middle-aged man and the other two. Did you see that? Not only are the three of them powerful, but they are also very cunning. If you are not careful, you will fall into their trap. So, if you want to get rid of them, you should hurry back and ask the Emperor to send more people over. Boss G said. The three of them looked at the group of old men, turned around with a sullen face and left without saying a word. Thousand Phoenix Mountain. Qin Feiyang and the other two stood in the air above the mountain. The Frenzy and the White-Eyed Wolf looked at Qin Feiyang with a mocking expression. Because Qin Feiyang had a face full of fear at this moment. Fortunately, he ran away quickly, otherwise he would definitely be beaten up by Ji Jiu. How is it? Do you still dare to have any ideas about his tea trees next time? The White-Eyed Wolf bared his teeth. Don't gloat, you have a share too. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. But I don't drink tea. The one who drinks tea is you. I am at most an accomplice. The White-Eyed Wolf chuckled. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and frowned. Why are there people from the Central Dynasty again? These three people definitely didn't come from the Central Dynasty recently. Because if they came recently, it must be the Central Dynasty's main force that came to the four great continents. Moreover, it takes about 3 months to come from the Central Dynasty to the four great continents. The Frenzy said. I think so too. The last time the Death God army came to the four great continents, they were persuaded to retreat by the inner demons and big cousin, let alone these three small fries. I think they came at about the same time as the Death God army last time. And when I observed them before, I found that they don't seem to know much about our situation. So I think they are not members of the Death God army, and should be from a family of the Central Dynasty. The White-Eyed Wolf guessed. Qin Feiyang nodded, a cold light flashing in his eyes. He smiled and said, no matter who they are, as long as they come to our door, we don't need to be polite and we'll take them all. That's what I think too. The White-Eyed Wolf smiled. As long as they could get the ultimate profound of these three people, they could cultivate 3 more powerhouses with the will of heaven. Buzz. At this time, Qin Feiyang's divine sound transmission stone rang. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He quickly took out the divine sound transmission stone and checked it. He looked at the Frenzy and the White-Eyed Wolf and said with a smile, "It's Boss G. You sent us a message so quickly? It seems that the 3 of them are quite sensible. They didn't stay in the village." The Frenzy said. Qin Feiyang activated the divine sound transmission stone, and a group of old men appeared. With the previous lesson, they were not at the entrance of the village, but in the secret room under the village. Ji Jiu looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Why are you running so fast? We won't really beat you up, we're just pretending." Qin Feiyang heard this and turned to the frenzy and asked, "Senior brother, do you believe it?" "I don't believe it." The frenzy pouted. Qin Feiyang looked up at Ji Jiao and said with a smile, "See, even senior brother doesn't believe it. Do you think I will believe your nonsense?" The corner of Ji Jiao's mouth twitched slightly, and he said with a dark face, "Don't talk nonsense, hurry up and come directly to the secret room, in case you run into someone else." "Roger." Qin Feiyang turned off the divine sound transmission stone and opened a spacetime passage. He had been to the secret room under the village, so he knew the location and coordinates. Chapter 4392. Inside the secret chamber. Ji Laosher's divine soul stared at Qin Feiyang angrily and said, "Brat, you're really ruthless. Luckily, I ran away quickly, otherwise I would have been killed by you." "Ha, I had no choice but to put on an act. Besides, we know your strength. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that you are unparalleled. You definitely have a way to save your life." Qin Feiyang forced a smile. "Don't flatter me. I don't buy it." Ji Laosher glared at him. "Don't be angry. I'll ask my wife to help you rebuild your body with the Eye of Life." Qin Feiyang comforted him. Ji Laosher rolled his eyes and said helplessly, "Then forget it. If someone from the Central Dynasty comes again and sees that I reconstructed my body so quickly, they will definitely be suspicious." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Sit down." Boss Ji waved his hand. A group of people sat around the table. "I thought it would take a long time for you to come back, but I didn't expect you to come back so soon. What's wrong? Did something happen?" Boss Ji looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two suspiciously. "We planned to stay for a few more days, but we didn't expect to meet Ice Dragon. It's our fault. Why did we go to him and the god of the Divine Kingdom?" Qin Feiyang was a bit annoyed. If they hadn't gone to find Ice Dragon and the god of the Divine Kingdom in hell, none of this would have happened. "What? You went to find the god of the Divine Kingdom?" The old people were shocked. Not only did he look for him, little Qin even fought with him. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. "No way. What happened?" The old people were shocked. Little Qin Zi was defeated by the god of the Divine Kingdom. The white-eyed wolf said with a gloating smile. "How dare you laugh at me? Who was it that kept provoking the master of the Divine Kingdom?" Qin Feiyang glared at the white-eyed wolf, then turned to look at Madman, who was hiding in a corner and laughing. With a dark expression, he said, "Senior brother, don't laugh. You have a part to play in this." The group of old men looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two and couldn't help but shake their heads and smile bitterly. They already had a rough idea of what was going on. At that time, the white-eyed wolf and the mad scientist must have provoked the Divine Kingdom's sovereign first and angered the Divine Kingdom's sovereign. Then, the two of them hid aside and threw this trouble to Qin Feiyang. In the end, Qin Feiyang was brutally beaten up by the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom. The dominator of the Divine Kingdom is so strong? Even you don't have the strength to fight back? Ji Laoer asked. Very strong. So we have to get rid of the Central Dynasty before he returns to the Divine Kingdom. Qin Feiyang said. Get rid of the Central Dynasty, the group of old men murmured. It wasn't easy. Boss Ji said, let's not talk about this first. Quickly call you, out. Yes, yes, yes. The other old men also hurriedly nodded. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly and waved his hand. The monarch, Jiutian Lord, and Ji Tianyue appeared. You, The group of old men immediately surrounded her. As for the monarch and Ji Tianjun who were standing next to Ji Tianyue, the group of old men not only ignored them but also directly pushed the father and son away, as if to say, don't stand here and get in the way." The father and son were helpless. You're finally back. Do you know how much we old men have missed you all these years? Come, let us take a good look. You're so haggard, even I feel sorry for you. You must have suffered a lot in the sky cloud realm all these years. Ji Yunwang, get over here and see how haggard your daughter is. If it weren't for you, would she have suffered so much in the sky cloud realm? Fortunately, she came back safely, otherwise, we would have killed you. The group of old men felt sorry for Ji Tianyue. But to the monarch, they were stern and didn't have a good expression. What else could the monarch do? He could only smile apologetically and admit his mistake. Ji Tianjun also smiled bitterly. Didn't many families value boys over girls? How come when it came to their family, it became a preference for girls over boys? Ji Tianyue looked at the monarch, looked at the group of old men, and said self-reproachfully, "This has nothing to do with father. It's you, who is unfilial and made you worry for so long." "What are you talking about? In this world, is there a more sensible child than you? Your big brother is not even 1/10 of you," Ji Laoshi said. The corner of Ji Tianjuan's mouth twitched. He didn't seem to have offended anyone standing here. Why was it about him? Besides, how was he not sensible? These old men, their thinking of valuing girls over boys was a bit heavy. Looking at Ji Tianjun innocently being implicated, Ji Tianyue couldn't help but laugh. "No matter what, it's good that you came back safely. Come. Sit with great-grandfather." Old Ji grabbed Ji Tianyue's hand and sat down at the table. Ji Tianyue sat aside obediently. Ninth Master Ji laughed hoarsely and said, "I really didn't expect that after we parted back then, the little girl from before had so many children and grandchildren now. The most important thing is that you's descendants are all so outstanding, unlike someone who gave birth to a little playboy." Old Ji said sarcastically, glancing at Ji Tianjun from time to time. Ji Tianjun was full of helplessness. He was being attacked again. Because the little playboy that old Ji was talking about was his good-for-nothing son. Qin Feiyang looked at the group of old men and said, "Great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers, in fact, there is something that we have been hiding from you." "What is it?" The group of old men looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, "My ancestor, Qin Badian, is actually not the young man you saw." The group of old men was surprised. Crazy said, "It means that the Qin Badian in the Divine Kingdom is impersonated." What? The group of old men suddenly stood up. How could it be an impersonation? What's going on? Ji Tianyue also looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two suspiciously. "It's like this. The person who is impersonating my ancestor is that mysterious young man. You should also know that he is very strong. We have known each other since the ancient world." Qin Feiyang looked at Ji Tianyue and explained. "Mysterious young man?" Ji Tianyue was stunned, pondered for a moment, and asked, "You mean the young man who is listless and sleepy all day long?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Why would he impersonate Badian?" Ji Tianyue was puzzled. "I don't know either. However, this person has no ill intentions. And he has helped us many times," Qin Feiyang said. Ji Tianjun suddenly asked, "Could it be the young man who fought with me in the western continent of the Sky Cloud Realm?" "That's him." Qin Feiyang nodded. "I didn't expect it. I always thought that he was Qin Badian. What's going on? What does the real Qin Badian look like?" Ji Tianjun frowned. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the phantom of his ancestor appeared. Everyone looked at Qin Baishan's phantom. It turned out that this was the descendant of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan. "You stinking brats, you actually kept me in the dark." The monarch shook his head and smiled bitterly. I kept it from you before to protect my ancestor. Qin Feiyang said. Hearing this, the monarch was a little unhappy and said, Do you really think that I will kill my own grandson? That's hard to say. White-eyed Wolf said. The monarch's face darkened and asked, Then where is my grandson now? We don't know either. I asked Mu Qing to use the all-seeing eye. None of us have been where they are now. Qin Feiyang shook his head. They? The monarch was stunned. These two are my ancestors, Yi Futian said. One is the ancestor of the Qin family, and the other is the ancestor of my mother's family, the Lu family. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. What about the Eye of Reincarnation? Ji Tianjun asked. There's no need to doubt the Eye of Reincarnation. My ancestor is the owner of the Eye of Reincarnation. The ancestor of the Lu family is the owner of the Eye of Destruction. And this time, I also brought the owner of the Eye of Oblivion. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. The elders looked at each other and sighed. You're too late. Qin Feiyang was confused. What do you mean? Boss Ji said, the two kids from Mount Supreme have been taken to the Central Dynasty. 2 kids? Qin Feiyang frowned. Boss Ji sighed. The 2 human elites who have the Eye of Destruction and the Eye of Oblivion. Qin Feiyang suddenly got up and said in shock, How is that possible? Why were they taken to the Central Dynasty? This happened on the 2nd day after you left the Divine Kingdom. That morning, more than a dozen people from the Central Dynasty suddenly came to Mount Supreme and asked for the 2 kids to go to the Central Dynasty. The human sovereign had no choice but to let them take them away. Boss Ji said. Qin Feiyang and the other 2 looked at each other and couldn't help but frown. They were taken away by the people from the Central Dynasty? Wouldn't Lin Yi have to go to the Central Dynasty in the future to see her old enemy? The madman asked, What kind of clothes are these people wearing? Are they in the same group as the 3 people we met before? They don't seem to be in the same group. Those people are all wearing the same clothes. According to the human sovereign, they all have a sword pattern on their clothes. They seem to be members of the Death God Legion. Boss Ji said in a deep voice. Sword pattern. Qin Feiyang's face suddenly changed. He looked at the madman and the white-eyed wolf and said, How is this possible? Except for Dong Yiming and the other 11 people, the others have returned to the Central Dynasty with the inner demons and big cousin. There is indeed a problem here. The madman nodded. The Death God Legion sent 5,000 people last time, but they were persuaded to go back halfway by the inner demons and Lu Jiajin. Only the deputy commander Dong Yiming secretly entered the 4 great continents with 10 members of the Death God Legion to investigate their situation. Dong Yiming and others had died in their hands. The other members of the Death God Legion had returned to the Central Dynasty with the inner demons and the white-eyed wolf. How could the Death God Legion appear in the 4 great continents? The Central Dynasty sent them again? But the time doesn't match. It takes 3 months to come from the Central Dynasty to the 4 great continents. What is going on? Wait. The 2nd day after we left the Divine Kingdom, we left the Divine Kingdom for about 5 days in total. In other words, they haven't returned to the Central Dynasty yet. Suddenly, the madman got up abruptly and looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. They must still be in the Taboo Ocean. If we pursue them now, we can definitely make it. Because Qin Feiyang had dual wills of heavenly Tao, his speed was faster than the other party. Chapter 4393. That's right. Even if they returned to the Central Dynasty on the same day, it was only 3 days ago. We can definitely catch up with them. The white-eyed wolf nodded. No matter what, they couldn't let Lin Yi and Lu Zhengyang's old enemy be taken to the Central Dynasty. Okay. You guys take your time to catch up. We will go after these people first. And, I really have some doubts about the identity of these people. Are they members of the Death God Legion? Qin Feiyang looked at the Lord and others and said. Heaven Lord Ji said, I won't stay any longer. I will continue to cultivate in seclusion in the Black Tortoise world. Okay. The Lord nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Heaven Lord Ji to the Black Tortoise world. He then looked at Ji Tianyue and said, Old ancestor, you must not be discovered. You can't show up in the Divine Kingdom yet. Don't worry. I know. You guys be careful too. Don't force yourself. Ji Tianyue reminded. Qin Feiyang opened a space-time tunnel, suddenly looked at Boss Ji and others, and asked, What do these Death God Legion members look like? Mu Qing can only find them with all-seeing eye if you know what they look like. We don't know. You have to ask Jizun. Boss Ji shook his head. But Jizun didn't respond to us when we sent him a message. Qin Feiyang frowned. They definitely won't respond to you. Because whether it is the divine race, the human race, or our purple gold divine dragon clan, there are people from the central dynasty. Boss Ji said. Why are there so many of them? Qin Feiyang looked puzzled. We don't know either. But what is certain is that these people are not wearing the Death God Legion's uniform. We all speculate that they may not be from the Death God Legion. Boss Ji said. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. They didn't expect this group of old people to have the same thought as them. Because they also suspected that these people were not members of the Death God Legion. Since you can't get in touch with Jizun and the others, you can check the location of the two human sky prides. These two prodigies of the human clan are now with the Death God army. As long as we can find their location, we will be able to know the location of the Death God army members. The monarch waved his hand and two figures, one male and one female, appeared. Both of them looked young. The woman was wearing a light blue long dress and looked very cold. The man was dressed in a long black robe, and there was a sinister aura between his brows. Qin Feiyang nodded and called Mu Qing out. What now? Mu Qing looked displeased. He had come to bother him as soon as he returned to the Divine Kingdom. Couldn't he just let him train in seclusion quietly for a while? The situation is urgent. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation. What? Mu Qing's expression changed slightly, and he quickly activated his all-seeing eye. This matter really couldn't be neglected. A moment later. Mu Qing raised his eyebrows, looked at Qin Feiyang, and shook his head. I have found the location of these two people, but it won't be of much help in chasing the Death God army members. Why? Everyone was puzzled. Because these two people are in a spatial divine item. So, we still need to know the appearance or name of the Death God army members. Mu Qing said. The madman frowned. So, we still need to find the Jizun of the human clan? No, no, no. Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly lit up. Now we can find the Great Venerable and the others. Yeah. The Great Venerable and the others have already formed an alliance with us, and they have been at Mount Supreme all year round. They must have seen the Death God army members. The madman also slapped his head. He had almost forgotten about these people. I'll send them a message. The monarch spoke and took out a divine sound transmission stone. Buzz. As expected. Soon, the divine sound transmission stone reacted, following which the image of a black-haired old man appeared. Who else could it be but the Great Venerable of the human clan? At this moment, through the image, one could see that the Great Venerable was standing alone in a secret room, seemingly very vigilant. When did you guys come back? Looking at Qin Feiyang and the others standing beside the monarch, the Great Venerable was extremely surprised. Not long ago. Senior, let's catch up when we have time. Now, let's ask you something. 3 days ago, the Death God army members that appeared at Mount Supreme, did you see them with your own eyes? Qin Feiyang said. Yes. At that time, I was beside the Zhizun. The Great Venerable nodded. That's great. What do they look like? Qin Feiyang was pleasantly surprised and asked. The Great Venerable waved his hand, and 12 figures appeared. There were men and women, old and young, and they were really wearing the Death God Army's uniform. Mu Qing, quickly investigate. Qin Feiyang urged. Mu Qing nodded. While Mu Qing was investigating the whereabouts of these 12 people, the Great Venerable looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously and asked, "What are you guys planning to do?" "Of course, we're going to chase after them. The Eye of Destruction and the Eye of Oblivion must not fall into the hands of the Central Dynasty," Qin Feiyang said. Chase? The Great Venerable was taken aback and asked, "Is it too late to chase after them now?" "It's too late. You forgot that I have 2 wills of the heavenly Tao," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Yes. The Great Venerable patted his head. He really forgot about this matter. Then, he pondered for a while and said, "If you guys want to chase after them, I hope you can show mercy to those 2 disciples." "I know. We won't hurt them." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. He only wanted the battle soul, not the lives of those 2. And he also planned to let Lin Yi compete with her old enemy fairly, just like Dong Zhengyang and Ji Shaoi. Found them. Mu Qing exclaimed at this time, but then frowned and said in a deep voice, "But there is a problem. These people went to the Central Dynasty separately." Separately? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Yes. The most important thing is, you also know that if the other party hides in the spatial divine object, then I can only see the scene inside the spatial divine object, but not the world outside. So now, I can't judge whose spatial divine object those 2 are in? Mu Qing said. That's troublesome. The white-eyed wolf's eyes sank. It seems that these people are also very smart. They know that we have the Eye of Oblivion and can find their whereabouts, so they deliberately scattered, making it difficult for us to judge. But no matter how troublesome it is, we have to chase after them. Even if we have to chase them one by one, we have to get these 2 back. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he looked up at the great sage and said, "You tell Zhizun not to act rashly. Wait for me to come back and deal with these people from the Central Dynasty." After that, he turned off the voice transmission stone, rolled up Mu Qing, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf, and rushed into the space-time tunnel. "Why don't we also change our appearance and follow to help?" The king looked at the group of old men and said. "It's useless. There is only one Mu Qing. Even if we know the escape route of the other party, it will be difficult to catch up with them. After all, they may change their route at any time. Moreover, we don't have dual wills of heavenly Tao. Our speed is no different from these people, so we can only rely on Qin Feiyang and the others." Boss Ji shook his head. Taboo ocean. The wind whistled, and huge waves surged. The entire sky was dark and looked particularly depressing. Qin Feiyang and the others walked out of the space-time tunnel and immediately activated the moment of time and dual wills of heavenly Tao. They rushed into the taboo ocean like lightning. They really came to the taboo ocean again. Not long after Qin Feiyang and the others disappeared at the end of the ocean, a sea beast emerged from the water and muttered to itself before sinking into the sea and disappearing. In the blink of an eye, a few days passed. In the sky above the ocean, it was a middle-aged man in a black robe. He was like a bolt of lightning, and there was a pattern of a sharp sword on his chest. Roar! Suddenly, accompanied by a roar, a sea beast rushed out of the water and blocked in front of him. The middle-aged man was shocked and hurriedly stopped. Don't be nervous. I am ordered to inform you that Qin Feiyang, Mu Qing, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf have entered the taboo ocean. They should be chasing after you. After the sea beast finished speaking, it did not give the middle-aged man a chance to ask and disappeared into the ocean. The middle-aged man's eyes trembled as he turned to look at the void behind him and muttered, "Is this the all-seeing eye?" Sure enough, nothing can escape the prying eyes of the all-seeing eye. On the same day, the other 11 people also encountered a sea beast one after another. These sea beasts were all there to inform them of the situation. Mu Qing had been using the all-seeing eye to track the whereabouts of the 12 people, so she saw this scene clearly. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang and the others were surprised. Mu Qing said, the sea beasts of the taboo ocean are actually informing these people. What? The white-eyed wolf immediately looked down at the ocean below, killing intent flashing in his eyes. These sea beasts, are they so reckless? Mu Qing said again, and they seem to be acting on orders? Acting on orders? Qin Feiyang and the others frowned. To be able to control the sea beasts of the taboo ocean, it must be an extraordinary existence. But who could it be? Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he transmitted his voice, "Uncle, do you know the situation of the taboo ocean?" "I know a little, why?" Heavenly Lord Ji, who was in seclusion in the Black Tortoise world, heard this and asked suspiciously. Qin Feiyang thought to himself, is there a particularly powerful existence in the taboo ocean? Yes. The sea beasts of the taboo ocean are all very powerful. Especially the king of the underworld. He claims to be the ruler of the taboo ocean and rules over all the sea beasts of the taboo ocean. He also has a dozen powerful sea beasts that have mastered the will of heaven under his command. However, this king of the underworld never enters the 4 great continents, so there are very few people who mention him. Heavenly Lord Ji transmitted his voice. King of the underworld, Qin Feiyang murmured. King of the underworld? The frenzy, the white-eyed wolf, and Mu Qing looked at him suspiciously. Uncle said that there's an existence called the King of the Underworld in the taboo ocean who rules over this ocean, so I suspect that these informers should be related to this King of the Underworld. Qin Feiyang guessed. He's courting death. The frenzy smiled ferociously, looked down at the ocean below, and shouted, all the sea beasts below, listen up. Go and tell the King of the Underworld to mind his own business, or else I won't be polite to him. Splash. Huge waves immediately rose in the ocean below. The sea beasts hiding in the ocean were in an uproar. And last time, when we were chasing Dong Hanzong, the king of the underworld intervened. As for the king of the underworld's lair, it is located in the center of the taboo ocean, on an island called the King of the Underworld Island. With my speed, it will take about 3 days to reach it. Qin Feiyang said. 3 days isn't too far, right? Madman laughed cruelly. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at Mu Qing. How long will it take for us to catch up with the person we are chasing now? You have 2 wills of the heavenly Tao, so the time can be shortened by a lot. Mu Qing pondered for a moment and said, about half a day. All right. Let's catch up with this person first, then go to the King of the Underworld Island. Qin Feiyang swept up the 3 of them and activated 2 wills of the heavenly Tao and momentary time, breaking through the sky like lightning. In the blink of an eye. Half a day passed. Under the guidance of Mu Qing, they finally felt a powerful aura in the sky above the sea. But at the same time, the middle-aged man in front also sensed the aura of Qin Feiyang and the others. His face changed drastically as he turned his head to look at the void behind him and said in shock, how can they be so fast? This is 2 wills of the heavenly Tao. At that moment, He restrained his aura and changed his direction. If he thought that restraining his aura would work, then he was too naive. Because Mu Qing's all-seeing eye was not tracking one's aura, but directly tracking one's body. This person actually changed his direction in an attempt to escape our pursuit. It seems that he has not experienced the power of my all-seeing eye. Mu Qing's face was full of ridicule as she constantly directed Qin Feiyang to change his direction. About a few hundred breaths later, they finally saw the middle-aged man in front. The distance between the two sides was only tens of thousands of miles. Tens of thousands of miles was not a distance at all for Qin Feiyang and the others. Hey, stop quickly, you can't escape. The white-eyed wolf said. The middle-aged man's face was gloomy and his heart was terrified to the extreme. Why was he so unlucky? They had divided into 12 groups. Why was Qin Feiyang and the others the first to chase after him? Are you disobedient? The white-eyed wolf's eyes surged with killing intent. What do you want? I am a member of the Death God army of the Central Dynasty. The middle-aged man roared. He wanted to use the fierce name of the Death God army to scare Qin Feiyang and the others. The white-eyed wolf raised the corner of his mouth and asked, "Then are you a member of the Death God army or a commander?" A member. But even if I am a member, I am not someone you can provoke. If you know what's good for you, get out of here. The middle-aged man shouted without looking back. Even Dong Yiming, the deputy commander of the 10th team, died in our hands, let alone a small member like you. The white-eyed wolf laughed and his words were full of sarcasm. What? Dong Yiming died in the hands of these people? No wonder we couldn't find Dong Yiming's whereabouts in the past few days in the 4 great continents. The middle-aged man's eyes trembled and he ran away in panic. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get rid of Qin Feiyang and the others. On the contrary, the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Because Qin Feiyang had 2 wills of the heavenly Tao, his speed was naturally not something the middle-aged man could compare to. Can you stop chasing me? I didn't offend you, why are you chasing me? The middle-aged man was about to cry. You didn't offend us, but 3 days ago, you took away 2 human prodigies from Mount Supreme. You must leave these 2 behind with us. Qin Feiyang said. How do you know about this? The middle-aged man was shocked. They had warned the Supremes of the human race not to tell anyone about this. Could it be that the Supremes of the human race had tipped off Qin Feiyang and the others? The Supremes of the human race had betrayed the divine kingdom? Qin Feiyang said, one of them has the eye of destruction, and the other has the eye of oblivion. They have long been our prey. How do you know that they have the most powerful battle soul? The middle-aged man was shocked again. We can find out about Jiang Yunshuang, Jiang Zishan, Jiang Xing of the God race and Ji Shaoi of the purple gold divine dragon race. How can we not find out about these 2 prodigies from Mount Supreme? But speaking of which, we have to thank you. Ever since we killed Jiang Yunshuang and the others, the 2 prodigies of Mount Supreme have been carefully protected by the Supremes of the human race. We couldn't find a chance to do anything to them. But I didn't expect that you would take them out of Mount Supreme. Isn't this the same as giving us a chance? Qin Feiyang laughed mockingly. Damn it! The middle-aged man clenched his fists. He didn't expect these people to already have their eyes on these 2. While they were talking, Qin Feiyang had already caught up with him. Immediately, he left behind Madman, White-Eyed Wolf and Mu Qing, and directly stepped in front of the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man looked at Qin Feiyang, who was standing in the air in front of him, and immediately stopped with a face full of fear. Behind, Madman and the other 2 also surrounded him. You can't kill me. The middle-aged man roared. Qin Feiyang turned to face the middle-aged man and said playfully, give me a reason why I can't kill you. They are now in my spatial divine item. If you dare to make a move, I will immediately self-destruct and take them to hell with me. At that time, you will never be able to obtain their battle souls." The middle-aged man laughed sinisterly. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other in surprise. So lucky? Chasing the first person and completing the mission? But was it that easy? Could it be that he was scaring them? Then self-destruct. White-Eyed Wolf said. What? The middle-aged man looked at White-Eyed Wolf in shock. He actually wanted him to self-destruct? Why? You don't dare? I think those two human race prodigies aren't in your spatial divine item at all. Maybe you don't even have a spatial divine item on you. White-Eyed Wolf sneered. The middle-aged man suddenly panicked. This scene was clearly seen by Qin Feiyang and the others. He was really putting on a show to scare them. You think I don't dare? I will self-destruct right now. The middle-aged man roared as a destructive aura rushed out from his body. Humph! Madman snorted coldly as the all-evil sword appeared and shot toward the middle-aged man like a bolt of lightning. You want to stop me from self-destructing with a mere divine art? The middle-aged man smiled disdainfully. Strands of power of laws surged out like a tide toward the all-evil sword. Divine art? Madman was stunned. Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, and Mu Qing were also stunned. He actually dared to say that the all-evil sword was a divine art? This person is too blind. Boom! With a loud bang, the all-evil sword directly destroyed the middle-aged man's power of laws and then pierced through his lower abdomen, leaving a fist-sized hole with blood gushing out. How is this possible? The middle-aged man was shocked and his face was filled with disbelief. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? To think that a mere deity technique could destroy your power of law so effortlessly, said Yi Futian. Madman sneered. The middle-aged man's eyes trembled. The facts had proven that this was not a divine art, but some kind of heaven-defying killing technique. Now, it was really difficult for him to self-destruct. In fact, he was not bluffing. He really wanted to self-destruct because he was in the Central Dynasty and had left his divine soul to protect his life. Even if he self-destructed, it would not be a big deal. The reason why he did not self-destruct and used it to threaten Qin Feiyang and the others was actually to buy time for his companions to escape to the Central Dynasty. However, he did not expect the all-evil sword to be so powerful that it could instantly shatter his sea of qi. If his sea of qi was shattered, how could he self-destruct? If he could not self-destruct, he would fall into the hands of these people. Then, even if he left his divine soul in the divine kingdom, it would be meaningless because these people would not kill him easily. Why is he so stupid? Why did he threaten them? Wouldn't it be over if he self-destructed? Isn't he just getting caught in his own trap? The middle-aged man was filled with regret. Chapter 4395. Who in the four continents didn't know that Qin Feiyang and the others had the ability to deprive others of their laws? Once they fell into the hands of these people, it would be a fate worse than death. Just thinking about this made the middle-aged man's scalp go numb. No. My Qi Sea is shattered, but I can still self-destruct my divine soul? Suddenly, the middle-aged man's spirit was shaken and he was ready to self-destruct his divine soul. Boom! However, at this moment, wisps of terrifying auras swept across the place. Do you think we will give you the chance to self-destruct? Frenzy looked at the middle-aged man mockingly. The middle-aged man instantly fell into the abyss of despair as his heart trembled. They could even see through his thoughts. This group of people was too terrifying. In fact, under such circumstances, it was not difficult to see through the middle-aged man's thoughts. With his Qi Sea destroyed and unable to self-destruct, how could he escape? Naturally, the only thing left was to self-destruct his divine soul. You want to bring him to the Black Tortoise world? The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. Qin Feiyang nodded. Only by being controlled by Long Chen's soul-controlling technique could this person strip the ultimate profound. However, there was no hurry to strip the ultimate profound. After entering the Black Tortoise world, he found Long Chen. Long Chen did not say much and directly controlled the middle-aged man. In the tea garden, Frenzy, the white-eyed wolf, and Mu Qin crossed their legs and drank the divine wine. Qin Feiyang looked at the middle-aged man standing respectfully in front of him and asked, "What's your name?" "Dong Deyuan." The middle-aged man answered truthfully. "Are you a member of the Death God Army?" Qin Feiyang asked. "No." Dong Deyuan shook his head. "You really aren't?" Frenzy, the white-eyed wolf, and Mu Qin looked at each other. Since he was not a member of the Death God Army, then who was this person? One had to know. Ordinary people would not dare to pretend to be a member of the Death God Army. The others aren't either? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. Dong Deyuan nodded. Then which faction are you from? Qin Feiyang frowned. Dong Deyuan said, "We're all from the second direct family of the Central Dynasty." The second direct family? Qin Feiyang and the other three were stunned. What did he mean? In the Central Dynasty, apart from the main family, there are also the main family and the branch family heads. Our family is said to be the second strongest among all the direct family clans. Dong Deyuan said. I see. Qin Feiyang and the other three suddenly understood. The white-eyed wolf mocked, "You guys sure have guts. You actually dare to pretend to be members of the Death God Legion. Aren't you guys afraid that Dong Qingyuan will find trouble with you?" Under normal circumstances, we wouldn't dare to impersonate the Death God Army on the spot. But this time, we're thinking for the future of our entire family, so we're taking the risk. Dong Deyuan said. The future of the entire family? The four of them exchanged glances. That's right. Taking Yu Hui and Min Hong away is for the benefit of our family. Dong Deyuan nodded. Yu Hui, Min Hong? Madman was suspicious. Yu Hui and Min Hong are the two prodigies of the human race, the owners of the Eye of Destruction and the Eye of Oblivion. I believe you guys should also be clear about the power of the Eye of Destruction and the Eye of Oblivion. As long as we can bring them back to our family, nurture them, and help them find their nemesis so that their battle souls can evolve, then the overall strength of our family will increase by a large margin. At that time, not only will the Emperor not blame us for impersonating the Death God Legion, he might even make an exception and promote our family to a direct family clan. Dong Deyuan explained. So that's the case. You guys are really taking the risk. But you guys probably don't know that they have long been our prey because their nemesis is right beside us. The white-eyed wolf sneered. What? Dong Deyuan was shocked. The white-eyed wolf didn't explain and asked, "Did you guys plan this long ago, or did you guys plan it after coming to the 4 continents?" We only planned it after coming to the 4 continents. After all, when they were in the Central Dynasty, they didn't know about the existence of Yu Hui and Min Hong. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Yes. Originally, we came to the Central Dynasty with the same purpose as the Death God Legion, to eliminate you guys. Although we heard that you guys are very strong, we didn't see it with our own eyes. We thought that no matter how strong you guys are, you would definitely find a chance. As long as we can get rid of you guys, then we will have made a great contribution. At that time, the Emperor will definitely reward us. Even if we don't become a direct family clan, we will definitely be given a lot of resources and become the #1 family clan in the direct family clan. But when we came to the 4 continents, we accidentally found out about the existence of Yu Hui and Min Hong, so we came up with this plan. Dong Dayuan said. Qin Feiyang asked, then are the people hiding in the purple gold divine dragon clan on Mount Supreme and the divine island also from your family? Yes. They are hiding in the purple gold divine dragon clan's territory on Mount Supreme and the divine island to continue looking for opportunities to kill you guys. Dong Dayuan nodded. Qin Feiyang and the other 3 looked at each other. Finally, the truth was revealed. Even the number 1 direct family clan didn't get involved in this mess, but you guys came to the 4 continents first. You guys are quite brave. White-Eyed Wolf said jokingly. Wealth comes from danger. Besides, the number 1 direct family clan has already given birth to a prodigy. Their position in the central dynasty is very stable, so they don't need to take such a big risk. Dong Dayuan shook his head. Prodigy? Qin Feiyang and the other 3 were slightly stunned and asked curiously, what prodigy? This prodigy is Dong Qin. One of the 5 domains, the owner of the Clear Heaven domain. Dong Dayuan said. Dong Qin? Qin Feiyang and the other 3 looked at each other. Wasn't this the woman they had suppressed in the Soul Sealing Valley? They didn't expect that the family behind this woman was the number 1 direct family clan in the Central Dynasty. Although it couldn't be compared to the direct family clan, it was still the strongest existence under the direct family clan. Now, they finally understood Dong Hanzong's intention. The reason why Dong Hanzong was on good terms with Dong Qin was definitely because of the family behind Dong Qin. After all, the number 1 direct family clan could also give him a lot of help. Qin Feiyang asked, whose space divine item is Yu Hui and Min Hong locked in now? Dong Yi. Also, they weren't forced by us. They willingly followed us to the Central Dynasty. Dong Dayuan said. Willingly? Qin Feiyang and the other 3 frowned. Yes. Although they still don't know that their old enemy is by your side, you have attacked Jiang Yunshuang, Ji Shaoyi and the others. They are also worried that you will attack them sooner or later. So when we proposed to take them to the Central Dynasty, not only did they not reject, they were very happy. Dong Dayuan said. White-Eyed Wolf frowned and said, it seems that it's not that easy to make them obediently hand over their battle souls. For this matter, let's have a fair competition. Qin Feiyang said. From their current performance, even if it's a fair competition, I'm afraid they won't let us do as we wish. Frenzied Wolf shook his head. If that's the case, then don't blame us for being ruthless. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. He looked at Dong Dayuan and asked, what does Dong Yi look like? Dong Dayuan waved his hand, and the figure of a black-haired old man appeared. Mu Qing immediately opened his all-seeing eye. Very quickly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, this person is very smart. He actually chose the furthest route to the Central Dynasty. Generally speaking, under such circumstances, one would definitely choose the furthest route. The people chasing behind would definitely choose the furthest route first. But this Dong Yi did the opposite and chose the furthest route. One had to admit that he was somewhat smart. How long will it take to catch up with him? Qin Feiyang asked. Mu Qing thought for a moment and said, about 5 days. With my current speed, there are still about 5 days? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. Because he took a long detour. Moreover, while we are chasing him, he will continue to escape, so it will take about 5 days. Mu Qing nodded. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then turned to look at the white-eyed wolf and the lunatic, and said, why don't we split up? Mu Qing and I will chase after Dong Yi, and you guys go directly to the Serene King Island to find the king of the underworld? The lunatic and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and asked, What happens after we find the king of the underworld? Ask him if he wants to cooperate. If he doesn't, we will directly eliminate him. Killing intent flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. Okay. The lunatic nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a group of people appeared in the sky above the sea, including Dong Dayuan. Immediately after. Thus, they split up into two groups. Dong Dayuan followed Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing. Qin Feiyang suddenly asked curiously, Dong Dayuan, how many experts in your family have mastered the will of the heavenly Tao? 25. Dong Dayuan said. What? A second family actually has 25 experts who have mastered the will of the heavenly Tao? Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing were deeply surprised. The foundation of the central dynasty was really not simple. Then how many people did you bring this time? Mu Qing was curious. 20 people. Dong Dayuan answered truthfully. 20 people, there are 12 people in the taboo ocean. Then the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon race, don't they still have 8 people? Not bad. Another 120 ultimate mysteries are about to fall into our hands. Mu Qing laughed. Huh, Qin Feiyang also laughed loudly. The more such families there were, the better. In the blink of an eye. 5 days passed. A huge island stood on the surface of the sea. Huge waves rolled around. 3 figures stood above the island. They were Qin Feiyang, Mu Qing, and Dong Dayuan. Qin Feiyang did not speak, silently looking at the sea ahead. Dong Dayuan stood behind him respectfully. Mu Qing opened her all-seeing eye, constantly tracking Dong Yi's whereabouts. After a while, Mu Qing suddenly smiled, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Dong Yi's current escape route, this is his only way. At most, he will arrive here in less than an hour. All right. Let's intercept him here and give him an unexpected surprise at the same time. Qin Feiyang laughed. The 3 rushed into the island below and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 4396. Whoosh. Above the sea. A black figure activated momentary time and moved as fast as lightning. His expression was particularly cautious. This person was Dong Yi. Splash. Suddenly, huge waves surged in the sea ahead of them. A huge sea beast rushed out of the sea. It was ferocious. Dong Yi's expression changed and he hurriedly stopped. Don't be nervous. I'm here to inform you. There's an island ahead. Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing are hiding on the island, waiting for you to walk into their trap. And there seems to be a companion of yours beside them. The sea beast said. What? Dong Yi's face turned pale. He looked up and could vaguely see the shadow of an island. You'd better take a detour. After saying that, the sea beast dived back into the sea and disappeared. Damn it. Why did this happen? Who on earth fell into the hands of Qin Feiyang and the rest? Don't you know self-destruct? Dong Yi roared and looked around. He made a prompt decision to turn around and flee in the other direction. Min Hong and Yu Hui were the hope of their family's rise. They must not fail. Bastard. At the same time. On the island. Mu Qing was also furious. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly turned to look at Mu Qing. Mu Qing said in a low voice, another sea beast is informing Dong Yi. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, haven't the white-eyed wolf and senior brother rushed to the king of Hell Island? Why aren't these sea beasts stopping? Their speed is not that fast. When I calculated the time, it was according to your speed. And the white-eyed wolf and the rest do not have dual wills of the great path. They may not have reached the king of Hell Island yet. Mu Qing said. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. Furthermore, judging from the current situation, even if the white-eyed wolf and the lunatic reached the Tranquil King Island, they might not be able to find the Tranquil Sea King. Because all the sea beasts in the Taboo Ocean are the spies of the Underworld King. Right now, the King of the Underworld might already know that the white-eyed wolf and the others are attacking the Underworld King Island. Mu Qing said in a deep voice. That will depend on his choice. If he really wants to go against us, then I don't mind sending him to hell. Killing intent flickered in Qin Feiyang's eyes. He swept up Mu Qing and Dong Dayuan and activated the instant of time and dual wills of the heavenly Tao to chase after Dong Yi. They will definitely come after us. What should we do? Qin Feiyang controls two wills of the heavenly Tao. I definitely won't be able to escape their pursuit. There's also Mu Qing. As long as Mu Qing is here, they can find me no matter where I run. Dong Yi was panicking. His mind was in a mess. Self-detonation? But what about Min Hong and Yu Hui? Ask the sea beasts for help? However, these sea beasts were not even qualified to be cannon fodder in front of Qin Feiyang. Anxiety and despair almost caused Dong Yi to break down. Bang! True enough. Soon. A terrifying aura surged. He turned his head and his body trembled. He could vaguely see the figures of Qin Feiyang and the other two. Who can help me? Qin Feiyang and the rest kept closing in on Dong Yi. He was almost hysterical. Dong Yi, be sensible. There's no need to continue running. You can't escape. Qin Feiyang's voice could be heard from behind him. Dong Yi's body trembled and he almost collapsed. Finally. Qin Feiyang and the other two caught up with him. Dong Dayuan, it's actually you. Scoundrel, why didn't you self-detonate? Dong Yi roared. If Dong Dayuan self-detonated, then Qin Feiyang and the rest would not know that Yu Hui and Min Hong were in his space treasure. In this way, he would have a great chance to bring Yu Hui and Min Hong back to the Central Dynasty. However, Dong Dayuan was indifferent to Dong Yi's roar. Damn it, they must have been controlled. Dong Yi's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. He stopped and turned around to stare at Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing, roaring, "Don't come any closer, otherwise, I'll take Min Hong and Yu Hui down with me, making it so that you'll never be able to obtain the Eye of Destruction and Eye of Oblivion." Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing immediately laughed. What are you laughing at? Dong Yi looked at the two of them in panic. Do you think we are chasing you for Yu Hui and Min Hong? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and walked towards Dong Yi fearlessly. You are not doing this for Yu Hui and Min Hong? Dong Yi was stunned. For a moment, he did not react. They have the Eye of Destruction and the Eye of Oblivion. What does it have to do with us? We don't have their old enemies around us. Our target is you. Anyone who comes from the Central Dynasty must die. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. Dong Yi could not help but feel afraid when he saw this gaze. No. Stop right there. Don't force me. I will really self-destruct and die with Yu Hui and the rest. Looking at Qin Feiyang, who was approaching step by step, Dong Yi waved his hand in panic and was about to cry. It's okay, go ahead and self-destruct. Just nice, you can also help me get rid of Yu Hui and the rest. After all, their Eye of Destruction and Eye of Oblivion will become a hidden danger to us sooner or later. If you die with them, I should thank you instead. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Hearing this, Dong Yi collapsed on the spot. He could not beat them, and threats were useless. What should he do? How about this? Let's talk. I don't care about Yu Hui and Min Hong, but I admire you. Qin Feiyang laughed. Admire me? Dong Yi was stunned. Yes. There are so many people in your family, but only you dare to bring Yu Hui and Min Hong. This shows that you are a very courageous, responsible person. I lack talents like you around me. As long as you follow me, I promise to give you the best. I will even help you open the door of potential. Qin Feiyang said. What? Dong Yi was stunned. Is this person crazy? He actually said that he will help me open the door of potential? And you might not know that there is a new realm above the sovereign realm. As long as you follow me, I can bring you to this new realm and let you become the strongest person in the world. By then, the Death God army, the direct family, and the Emperor will all be trampled under your feet. Think about it, how impressive is that? Qin Feiyang smiled. A new realm, Dong Yi was completely stunned. Isn't the peak sovereign realm the end of the cultivation path? Why would there be a new realm now? It was also at this moment. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. He activated Instant Time and Dual Will of Heaven Dao at the same time and instantly landed behind Dong Yi. Dong Yi quivered and hurriedly dodged. But it was too late. Qin Feiyang slammed his palm and the power of life and death surged out. Dong Yi immediately screamed as his physical body was directly shattered in the void and blood stained the sky. As Dong Yi's physical body was shattered, a spatial divine object also appeared. You lied to me. Dong Yi's divine soul roared and frantically pounced on the spatial divine object, wanting to destroy it as well as Min Hong and Yu Hui who were hiding inside. If I didn't lie to you, would I have found a chance to kill you? You can only blame yourself for being too stupid. Qin Feiyang sneered. The power of life and death rolled out and immediately suppressed Dong Yi's divine soul. Immediately after, he grabbed the spatial divine object. I'm not resigned to this. Dong Yi roared again and again. Qin Feiyang set up a soundproof barrier again, enveloping Dong Yi's divine soul. It was too noisy. At this moment, Qin Feiyang just erased the blood contract of the spatial divine object and dripped blood to recognize it as its master. Then, he waved his hand. A man and a woman immediately appeared in front of him. Qin Feiyang, it was Yu Hui and Min Hong. The two of them had already heard the commotion outside when they were inside the spatial divine object. At this moment, looking at Qin Feiyang standing in front of them, they could not help but tremble. The owner of the strongest fighting soul only has this much courage? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. You don't have to humiliate us. Yu Hui roared. Can you blame them for being timid? Ask the 4 continents now, who is not afraid of you, the devil? Humiliate you? There's really no need for that. I'm just disappointed. Because you are like me, the owner of the strongest fighting soul. But now, you don't even have the courage to face me, and you even want to hide in the central dynasty. Qin Feiyang shook his head. When the two of them heard this, they could not help but clench their fists. Qin Feiyang said, Answer me, do you deserve to have the strongest fighting soul? The two of them were flustered. Fine. Go to the Black Tortoise boundary and stay there. Wait for me to deal with the king of the underworld and the other 10 people, then I'll have a good talk with you. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and directly shattered the 2's sea of qi. Then, he sent the two of them and Dong Yi's divine soul to a cultivation room in the ancient castle and imprisoned them. Do you want to chase after the sea beast that tipped us off? Mu Qing asked. There's no need for that. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. Let's go directly to the king of the underworld. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. He activated the dual will of heaven and split time and rushed toward the King Island. The next day, There was a huge island. The two of them rushed into the island like lightning. These two people were the white-eyed wolf and lunatic. We've finally arrived at the King Island. Without the dual will of heaven, we really can't move fast. If it were little Qin Zi, he would have rushed here long ago. When the two of them heard that the island was above them, they lowered their heads and scanned the island below. The entire island stretched as far as the eye could see, like a continent floating on the sea. The mountains and rivers were majestic, and the vegetation was green. However, there was not a single sea beast in sight, let alone the king of the underworld. What's going on? The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Could it be that the king of the underworld has already received the news and left the King Island? Lunatic frowned. Let's split up and search. A cold light flashed in the white-eyed wolf's eyes. The two of them immediately split up and rushed toward the depths of the island. Wherever they went, they used their divine senses to search. After an hour of searching, they really did not find a single sea beast on the island. Obviously, the king of the underworld must have escaped in advance. We came all the way here, but in the end, we made a wasted trip. The white-eyed wolf's body surged with a terrifying aura as he rushed toward the sea outside the island. Lunatic also hurriedly followed. But right after that, the white-eyed wolf frowned and said, "Even though there are many oceanic beasts in the Forbidden Ocean, it isn't easy to hunt and kill them because we're unable to open a spatial tunnel in the Forbidden Ocean. This is indeed a problem." Madman nodded. Back in the East Continent, they were able to destroy the oceanids and beasts in a short period of time because they could open a spacetime tunnel. No matter how far away they were, they could reach them in an instant. But in the Taboo Ocean, they could only fly. The Taboo Ocean was so big. It was easier said than done to search the entire Taboo Ocean. Moreover, the sea beasts of the Taboo Ocean were not fools. They would definitely not stand there and wait for them to kill them. They would definitely do everything they could to deal with them. It would be even more difficult to play guerrilla warfare with them. Madman took a deep breath and looked at the white-eyed wolf. "We will discuss this matter after old Qin comes and meets up with us. Now, let's go chase after the king of the underworld. The king of the underworld is about the same speed as us. How can we catch up? We might as well wait for little Qin Zi first." The white-eyed wolf shook his head. "Even if we can't catch up, we can still chase after them first. Anyway, we have Mu Qing. When they come to Serene King Island and don't see us, they will definitely use their all-seeing eye to check our whereabouts." Madman said. The white-eyed wolf lowered his head and pondered. Then, he nodded and said, "All right. The king of the underworld just left last night. If he is delayed on the way, we can really catch up with him." Whoosh! After the two of them finished speaking, they immediately activated momentary time and rushed toward the depths of the Taboo Ocean. The next day, in the sky above a sea, Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Qing and asked, "How is it?" Mu Qing said, "The white-eyed wolf and madman are really not on Serene King Island. They are rushing toward the depths of the Taboo Ocean. The king of the underworld has indeed left Serene King Island." The depths of the Taboo Ocean, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, "It seems that the white-eyed wolf and senior brother have also found out where the king of the underworld has gone, so they are chasing after him. Then, are we still going to Serene King Island?" Mu Qing asked. "There's no need to go to Serene King Island. Let's rush directly to meet up with senior brother and the others. In addition, help me check the whereabouts of the king of the underworld." Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." Mu Qing nodded. Although she had never seen the king of the underworld, as long as she knew his name, it would be fine. A few breaths passed. Mu Qing raised her eyebrows and said, "This king of the underworld seems to be going to the Central Dynasty." To the Central Dynasty? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and asked, "Is there anyone else with him?" "Yes. These people seem to have unfathomable auras. I guess they have all mastered the will of the heavenly Tao." Mu Qing nodded. "Interesting. It seems that this taboo ocean will be our next hunting ground." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a hint of a smile. Mu Qing was slightly stunned and turned to glance at Qin Feiyang. When she saw the smile on Qin Feiyang's face, she could not help but sympathize with the sea beasts in this area. However, these sea beasts deserved it, as they had gone against them time and time again. Mu Qing said, "It will be quite difficult to turn this place into a hunting ground. After all, there is no way to open a space-time tunnel here, and it is also very close to the Central Dynasty." "I know. But there is always a way." Qin Feiyang smiled. A few days later, Qin Feiyang rushed without stopping and finally met up with the white-eyed wolf and madman in the sky above a sea area. "How is it on your side?" Madman asked. "Very smooth." Qin Feiyang smiled. "You guys are very smooth, but the situation on our side is very troublesome." Madman glanced at the sea area in front of him with a look of annoyance. After so many days, they had not chased after the king of the underworld. Obviously, the king of the underworld did not delay midway. "I have roughly guessed it. But there is one thing I don't know. When did the king of the underworld leave the Underworld King Island?" Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously. "The night before we left the Underworld King Island." Madman said. "The night before? In that case, they are not too far away from us now." Qin Feiyang was taken aback for a moment, then his face was full of confidence. With his speed, he would definitely be able to catch up with the king of the underworld in half a day at most. Then, he turned to look at Mu Qing and asked, "Did the king of the underworld change his position?" "No." Mu Qing shook her head. "No change? Then they can just wait to become our prey." The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted. "Even if they change their position, aren't they still our prey?" Mu Qing smiled. "Haha." Hearing this, the group of people laughed. In the sky above a small island, a group of dozens of people cut through the sky one after another without the slightest pause and swept across the sky above the island. The leader was a middle-aged man. He looked to be in his 30s, and he was more than 1.8 meters tall. He wore a golden robe, and his long hair was like gold leaf, dazzling. The group of people behind him included men and women, old and young. They all exuded an aura that was as deep and unfathomable as the ocean. "Lord! We can't keep running like this. Besides, if Qin Feiyang really chases after us, with his dual ultimate meaning, we won't be able to escape from his clutches." One of them couldn't help but speak, his face full of worry. The king of the underworld said, "Don't worry. It's been so many days, and they haven't chased after us. Maybe they have already given up." His voice was slightly gloomy. However, even he didn't have much confidence in saying this. Another person couldn't help but complain, "I think we shouldn't be enemies with them. This is purely asking for trouble." "What did you say? Do you want to betray the divine kingdom, betray the Lord Ruler?" The king of the underworld immediately stared at that person. "I don't dare. What I mean is that we should keep a low profile and protect ourselves." That person hurriedly explained. "Protect ourselves? You are too naive. The battle between Qin Feiyang's group and the Central Dynasty will erupt sooner or later. And our taboo ocean happens to be in the center of the 4 great continents and the Central Dynasty. When the time comes, our taboo ocean will definitely become their battlefield. Do you think we can hide when the time comes? So now, we must stand with the Central Dynasty. It's best if we can enter the Central Dynasty. Only then can we truly protect ourselves. The king of the underworld said in a deep voice. An old man said in surprise, "You have been helping the Central Dynasty people. Could it be that you want to gain their favor and let them agree to let us enter the Central Dynasty?" That's right. No one can stay out of this battle. Only by entering the Central Dynasty can we ensure our own safety. As for Qin Feiyang's group, although they are doing well in the 4 great continents now, in front of the Central Dynasty, they are like ants. The king of the underworld smiled contemptuously. That's true. The 5,000 members of the Death God army that came last time all grasped the will of the heavenly path. And the Death God army definitely has more than that. The group of generals nodded. The Taboo Ocean was the closest to the Central Dynasty. Therefore, living in the Taboo Ocean, they knew the situation of the Central Dynasty better than the beings of the 4 great continents. In their view, Qin Feiyang and the others were digging their own graves by going against the Central Dynasty. However, they were still worried. From time to time, they would look at the ocean behind them to see if Qin Feiyang and the others were chasing after them. In the blink of an eye. Half a day passed. The king of the underworld seemed to have noticed something. He suddenly turned his head to look at the void behind him, and his pupils suddenly shrank. When the others saw this, their hearts couldn't help but thump. They all turned their heads to look, and their expressions changed drastically. Chapter 43-98. In the void behind them. 5 figures could be vaguely seen. Their auras were not obvious. But they could see that they were faster than them. Now that they were in the Taboo Ocean and were faster than them, except for Qin Feiyang who controlled 2 wills of the heavenly Tao, there was no one else. "My lord, what should we do?" The group of generals panicked. Even the people of the Central Dynasty had suffered great losses in the hands of this group of people. Even Dong Qingyuan, who had a pinnacle sovereign divine weapon, was not a match for these people, let alone them. The underworld king's face was also gloomy. He originally thought that Qin Feiyang and the others would not chase after them, but he did not expect that not only did they catch up, but they also caught up so quickly. "Underworld king, stop. Let's talk." Qin Feiyang's voice sounded. It was very gentle, without any killing intent. "My lord," the group of generals looked at the underworld king and begged, "Why don't we stop and talk to Qin Feiyang and the others? As long as we have a good attitude, they will definitely show mercy." "Show mercy? Don't be naive. They chased after us from afar. Will they let us go so easily? Besides, if a good attitude is useful, the oceanic race and the beast race would not have been exterminated by them." The underworld king snorted. But, the group of generals wanted to say something but hesitated. Suddenly, an old man said, "My lord, why don't we pretend to be polite with them first, and after we escape this disaster, we will think of a way to enter the Central Dynasty?" "That's a good idea. This is the only way now. If we continue to run, we will definitely anger them. If we don't run and fight them head-on, we will not be their match." The other generals nodded. No matter what, they had to save their lives first. "Okay." The underworld king pondered for a while and nodded decisively. This was indeed the most reliable method at present. The group of people stopped and turned to look at Qin Feiyang and the others. They were secretly vigilant. They really stopped. Seeing this scene, Madman's expression was quite astonished. If they don't stop, they will die. Do they dare not stop? The white-eyed wolf smiled contemptuously. When he thought about it, he was actually quite emotional. When they first entered the Divine Kingdom, they could only flee when faced with the various major races. But now, Even if it was the sea beasts of the taboo ocean, when they saw them, they would have to flee at the mere sight of them. Whoosh! Very soon, Qin Feiyang led the four of them to the opposite side of the underworld king. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said with a smile, "I've heard so much about you seniors. Now that I've met you, you're indeed impressive." However, when these words fell into the ears of the tranquil Ocean King and the others, they seemed to be mocking them. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that they were in a difficult situation, but this Qin Feiyang actually said that they were impressive? If this wasn't sarcasm, then what was? However, even though he was displeased, he didn't dare to show it. The king of the underworld said with a straight face, "I have long heard of your names, little brothers." The madman and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other with amusement in their eyes. Weren't these words spoken against his heart? "Senior, you flatter us." Qin Feiyang waved his hand with a smile and asked curiously, "Senior, you look travel-worn. Where are you going?" "We're not going anywhere. We just have nothing to do, so we're strolling around." The king of the underworld laughed. "Then you seniors are really in a good mood." Qin Feiyang chuckled. "Same to you. Little brothers, didn't you also come to our taboo ocean for a stroll?" The king of the underworld ocean said. "Huh," Qin Feiyang laughed. This king of the underworld ocean was really interesting. Especially his ability to pretend to be confused, he wasn't careless at all. "Little brother, what are you laughing at? Are my words very funny?" The king of the underworld ocean was suspicious. No. This junior is quite puzzled. This junior and the others have been in the divine kingdom for so many years, and it seems that we haven't incurred any grudges with you seniors, but why do you seniors target us again and again? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile, a trace of suspicion on his face. Target? The king of the underworld ocean was slightly stunned and puzzled. "Little brother, why do you say that? Last time, when we entered the taboo ocean to pursue Dong Tianchen, there were sea beasts that informed him of our whereabouts. This time, when we entered the taboo ocean to pursue Dong Dayuan and the others, there were actually sea beasts that informed him of our whereabouts. Senior, shouldn't you give us an explanation for this matter?" Qin Feiyang said. The king of the underworld ocean's pupils shrank. He pretended to look at Qin Feiyang in surprise and asked, "Is that true?" "Yes. Dong Dayuan was right next to me." Qin Feiyang nodded, turned to look at Dong Dayuan, and said with a smile, "Tell me, who tipped you off that we entered the taboo ocean to pursue you?" "A sea beast." At that time, he also said that he came under orders. Dong Dayuan said truthfully. When the king of the underworld and the others heard this, they suddenly panicked. Qin Feiyang looked at the king of the underworld and the others and said with a smile, "Seniors, what do you mean by under orders? Can you explain it for me?" "Brother Qin, there must be some misunderstanding. I have never given such an order." The king of the underworld hurriedly explained, then turned to the group of generals behind him and asked, "Did you give this order?" No. Absolutely not." Chapter 43-99. Facing the scolding of a group of generals, the king of the underworld could not help but fly into a rage out of humiliation. But now, it was definitely not the time to be calculative. Because if he were to be calculative with a group of generals now, when they were angered and changed sides, his situation would be even worse. Although he was the king of the underworld and had a higher status than these generals were not weak either. As the saying goes, a cornered dog will jump over the wall. In a matter of life and death, one could do anything. Why are you so insensible? Do you think you can win our sympathy by acting pitiful? Qin Feiyang shook his head. If he could listen to him obediently, he could live a little longer. But now, he could only apologize. Don't, let's talk nicely. I will cooperate. The king of the underworld hurriedly waved his hand. I have already given you the opportunity before, but you didn't cherish it. Now, I only believe that only people like Dong Dayuan who are controlled by the soul-controlling technique will truly cooperate with us. Killing intent flashed in Lunatic's eyes. When the all-evil sword appeared, its sharp edge instantly swept in all directions. The waves rose tens of thousands of feet high, and the void collapsed crazily. Damn it! Run! The king of the underworld roared. The group of people immediately activated the instant time and flew into the sky. Humph! Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. 3,000 clones activated, and the dual will of heavenly Tao erupted. Their speed was far from what the king of the underworld and the others could match, and they instantly surrounded the group. Kill our way out! The king of the underworld roared. Boom! Ultimate profound meaning was activated, and there were actually 9 ultimate profound meanings. 9 ultimate profundities of supreme laws were already considered the strongest existences in this world. Because apart from the life and death edict, the king of the underworld had mastered all the ultimate profound meanings, including the light and darkness edict. Seeing this, a group of generals also activated their ultimate profound meanings. These people had actually all mastered 7 ultimate profundities of the ultimate laws. The will of heavenly Tao erupted. This battle formation was not just a little frightening. The king of the underworld had 9 ultimate profound meanings, and the 30 generals each had 7. In total, there were 219 ultimate profound meanings. It could be said that, such strength was enough to make many despair. However, Qin Feiyang, the madman, the white-eyed wolf, was an exception. A bunch of ants, how dare you be so presumptuous? The madman waved his hand and the all-evil sword erupted with world-destroying might as it furiously slashed out. With a loud explosion, the 219 ultimate intents shattered on the spot. But at the same time, the madman's sword of all evil also collapsed. What happened? Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, and Mu Qing all looked at Madman in surprise. Wasn't Madman's all-evil sword capable of destroying 10,000 ultimate profundities? How was it that the other party was able to shatter the all-evil sword with just 219 ultimate profundities? Madman sent a voice transmission. Back in the village, the power of all evil was almost used up, and it still hasn't recovered, so this is the only way. I see. In other words, the power of the all-evil sword is completely supported by the power of all evil? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. Madman nodded. Right now, he was the source of all evil, and the evil power that he usually absorbed was stored in his body. In short, the more power of all evil he stored, the stronger the power of the all-evil sword would erupt. Then in the future, you should use the all-evil sword less and save it for critical moments. Qin Feiyang secretly said. It doesn't matter. I can control the power of all evil as I wish. I can extract as much as I need, and it won't be wasted. Moreover, the lethality of the all-evil sword itself isn't weak. Madman waved his hand. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the 3,000 incarnations. The 3,000 incarnations laughed and immediately swarmed forward, beating up the king of the underworld and the others. For a moment, screams could be heard endlessly. Blood also dyed the sky red. Don't go too far. The king of the underworld roared, and with a shake of his body, he turned into a huge sea beast. This was a golden deep-sea dragon. Its body was thousands of feet long, like a majestic mountain ridge. This was the original body of the king of the underworld. The group of generals also changed back to their original bodies, which were a group of mountain-like sea beasts. Is it useful to change back to your original body? The white-eyed wolf sneered. Rumble. Sure enough. The 3,000 incarnations activated the kingdom of life and death, directly smashing the bodies of a group of sea beasts, staining the surroundings with blood. Following closely. Whether it was the king of the underworld's divine soul or the group of generals, they were all suppressed by the 3,000 incarnations. The group of generals begged for mercy in despair. Qin Feiyang, spare our lives, it was all the king of the underworld's fault before, we have been persuading him to cooperate with you, but he thought himself clever, if you want to kill him, don't kill us. Our strength is not bad, we can serve you, with our help, not to mention Dong Dayuan's companions, even ruling this taboo ocean can be easily done, please, give us a chance to make up for our mistakes. Did they dare to not beg for mercy? Right now, they were equivalent to fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered by Qin Feiyang and the others. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, looked at the madman and the white-eyed wolf, and said, clean up the sea beasts nearby. Don't let the news of the king of the underworld and the group of generals falling into our hands spread. This will affect our plan. Understood. The madman and the white-eyed wolf nodded. A fierce light flashed in their eyes. After Qin Feiyang brought the king of the underworld and the group of generals' divine souls into the Black Tortoise realm, the two immediately rushed to the sea below. There was also Dong Dayuan. Dong Dayuan also grasped the will of the heavenly Tao, so his strength was naturally not to be underestimated. As for Mu Qing, he was recuperating at the side. He was also very tired after continuously opening the all-seeing eye. The reason why they had to clean up the nearby sea beasts was to silence them. There must be many sea beasts in the nearby sea that had seen the king of the underworld and the group of generals fall into their hands with their own eyes. Once this matter spread out, it would naturally be very difficult for Qin Feiyang and the others to use the name of the king of the underworld to gather all the sea beasts that had grasped the ultimate profound meaning. If they couldn't gather them, then there was no way to successfully plunder their ultimate profound meaning. So, this matter must be kept a secret for now. With the madman and the other two's slaughter, this sea area instantly turned into a sea of blood. About a moment later, Qin Feiyang appeared with the king of the underworld and the others. Not only had this group of people been controlled by the soul-controlling technique, even their shattered bodies had been reconstructed with the help of the mermaid princess. Moreover, they had returned to their human forms without any injuries on their bodies. Whoosh! Soon, the madman and the other two returned. Their bodies were dripping with blood and their murderous aura was monstrous. Moreover, there were many remnant souls suppressed beside each of them. Have you cleaned them up? Qin Feiyang asked. Is there a need to ask? Moreover, whenever we encounter sea beasts that have grasped the ultimate profound meaning, we will keep their divine souls. The madman bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang looked at the divine souls suppressed beside the three and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. There were at least thousands of divine souls suppressed beside the three. Even if these sea beasts only grasped one ultimate profound meaning of the strongest law, there were still thousands of ultimate profound meanings added up. In just a short while, they had obtained thousands of ultimate profound meanings of the strongest law. To them, this taboo ocean was a treasure trove. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and suppressed thousands of divine souls in the soul-sealing valley. Immediately after, he pondered for a while and looked at the king of the underworld. Immediately spread the news. Tell Dong Dayuan and Dong Yi's 10 companions that we have already rushed ahead of them and are preparing to ambush them near the entrance of the central dynasty. Tell them to go to the King Island immediately. Tell them that you have a way to help them escape our pursuit. Yes. The king of the underworld replied respectfully. They only needed to find some sea beasts and issue this order. At that time, there would naturally be a large number of sea beasts looking for those 10 people. Also, tell all the sea beasts in the taboo ocean that have grasped the ultimate profound meaning of the strongest law to gather at the King Island. Qin Feiyang said again. As long as these sea beasts arrived, all the ultimate profound meanings would be in their pockets. He was really looking forward to it. How many ultimate profound meanings of the strongest law would they obtain in the end? Yes. The king of the underworld was now as obedient as a little lamb. He immediately took the order and led 30 generals to search for the sea beasts and issue these 2 orders. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Mu Qing and said with a smile, "You go to the Black Tortoise world first. I will call you out if I need you. It's best if you don't need me." Mu Qing pursed her lips. She just wanted to go into seclusion in peace. Why was it so difficult? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and sent Mu Qing to the Black Tortoise world. Immediately after, he took out 4 illusion form pills and looked at the madman, white-eyed wolf, and Dong Dayuan. He smiled and said, "We also have to change our appearances. Otherwise, if we walk together with the king of the underworld and are seen by the sea beasts, it will affect our plan." He, the madman and Dong Dayuan bared their teeth, took the illusion form pills, and turned into a few middle-aged men. Not long after, the king of the underworld returned with a group of generals. The order had been issued, and now they were waiting for the fish to walk into the trap. "Let's go. Let's go to the King Island and wait for them." Qin Feiyang chuckled. Immediately, the group of people flew towards the serene King Island in a grandiose manner. 2 days later, in the sky above a sea beast suddenly rushed out of the water and blocked in front of a black-robed old woman. The black-robed old woman was shocked and quickly stopped. "Don't be nervous. The king of the underworld asked me to tell you that Qin Feiyang and the others have already rushed in front of you and are preparing to wait for you near the entrance of the central dynasty. Therefore, he wants you to go to the King Island immediately." The sea beast said. "What? They're so fast?" The black-robed old woman's expression changed. "Qin Feiyang has grasped 2 wills of the heavenly Tao. He will definitely be faster than you," the sea beast said. The black-robed old woman's heart sank and asked, "Does the king of the underworld really have a way to help us escape?" "I don't know. The king of the underworld only asked us to pass this news to you. It's up to you to believe it or not." After the sea beast finished speaking, it plunged into the sea and disappeared. "Damn that Qin Feiyang, you'd better not let me return to the central dynasty. Otherwise, I will definitely lead an army and turn you into ashes." The black-robed old woman roared and finally decided to go to the King Island. Because now, she had no other choice but to believe in the king of the underworld. Chapter 4400. The other 9 also received the message from the sea beasts and chose to head to the serene King Island like the black-robed old woman. There was indeed no other way. Hearing that Qin Feiyang and the others were going to wait for them near the entrance, they did not have the courage to continue. Not to mention the strength of the white-eyed wolf and the frenzied one, just Qin Feiyang's dual wills of the Great Path, 3,000 incarnations, and the laws of life and death were like a mountain that pressed down on them. At the same time, a large number of sea beasts were also rushing towards the serene King Island. When Qin Feiyang and the others returned to the serene King Island, there were already many sea beasts there. "My lord, why did you call us here? Who are the 4 of them?" Everyone surrounded the king of the underworld and asked. There were also sea beasts that looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyang, the frenzied one, the white-eyed wolf, and Dong Dayuan. The sea beasts that entered the island had to transform into their human forms so that they would not take up space. Of course there's something. The king of the underworld spoke, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and said, "The four of them are newly promoted warlords. From now on, their orders are equivalent to my orders." Newly promoted warlords. So, they have already grasped the will of the Great Path? Everyone was surprised. Yes. The king of the underworld nodded. "Greetings, my lords." Hearing this, everyone immediately bowed to Qin Feiyang and the others. "Rise. Please take care of us in the future." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. No, it should be my lord. Please take care of us." The sea beasts' faces were full of flattery. "Lord King of the Underworld, did you call us here because of the four newly promoted warlords?" Some sea beasts asked. "It's part of the reason. After all, our taboo ocean hasn't had a new warlord for a long time. It's worth celebrating. As for the other reasons, I will announce them when everyone arrives. Now, go and find a place to rest. In addition, the 10 people from the Central Dynasty will also come. Don't make things difficult for them." The king of the underworld instructed. Yes. Everyone nodded. They left in groups of 2s and 3s. I really didn't expect that 4 battle generals would be born at once. It's a little unexpected. But this is also a good thing. Our taboo ocean is getting stronger and stronger. Now, even if the sovereign of the human race and the divine king of the divine race enter our taboo ocean, they wouldn't dare to act rashly. Wait. I heard that Qin Feiyang, Golden Wing Wolf King, and Madman Mo have entered our taboo ocean. Could it be that the king of the underworld has summoned us here because of these 3 people? It can't be that he wants us to join hands and get rid of these 3 people, right? It's said that this Qin Feiyang controls 3,000 incarnations, the laws of life and death, the eye of heaven, and 2 wills of the heavenly Daos. He's not someone to be trifled with. You're too useless. So what if he's strong? There are so many sea beasts in our taboo ocean that have grasped the ultimate profundity. Why would we be afraid of a single person? That's right. As long as we gather together, we can drown him with a mouthful of saliva each. For a time, there were many discussions on the island. In the middle of the island, there was a huge mountain that was thousands of feet high. At the peak of the mountain stood an ancient hall. Qin Feiyang and the others were led into the main hall by the king of the underworld. After entering the hall, the tranquil Sea King stood respectfully behind Qin Feiyang and the others. "Should I close the door?" Madman asked. "No need. In any case, we've already changed our appearances and auras. No one can recognize us. Besides, if we close the door and wait for the 10 from the Central Dynasty to arrive, they might be suspicious." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. "That makes sense. But now, I'm still worried about a problem. We've gathered so many sea beasts this time, and all of them have mastered ultimate enlightenment of ultimate laws. With our strength, will we be able to take them down smoothly?" Madman frowned. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he pondered for a moment before turning to look at the tranquil Sea King and asking, "How many sea beasts in your taboo ocean have mastered ultimate profundities of ultimate laws?" "I didn't calculate it." The tranquil Sea King shook his head. "Roughly?" Madman asked. "Roughly, there should be 200 to 300,000. The tranquil Sea King said with uncertainty. "What? 200 to 300,000. Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. 200 to 300,000. Even if each sea beast only mastered one ultimate profundity of ultimate laws, wouldn't there be 200 to 300,000 ultimate profundities in total? There was no need to elaborate. Even 200,000 ultimate profundities of ultimate laws could be divided into more than 30,000 parts. One must know. And this was a conservative calculation. Some sea beasts even mastered 3, 4, or even 5 ultimate profundities. It was hard to imagine how many ultimate profundities they would obtain in the end. The sea beasts of the taboo ocean were indeed stronger than the beasts and the oceanids. Madman said in a deep voice, if we calculate it this way, when these sea beasts attack us together, it might really be difficult for us to suppress them. It shouldn't be difficult. Although these sea beasts are huge in number, they haven't mastered the will of the heavenly Tao. Little Qin Zi has 3,000 incarnations, the law of life and death, dual wills of the heavenly Tao, and the eye of heaven. You also have the sword of all evil. This brother also has a battle soul. And Dong Dayuan, the underworld sea king, and 30 generals. Moreover, we also have the battle souls of Mu Tianyang and the demon ancestor. With their help, it shouldn't be difficult to suppress these sea beasts. The white-eyed wolf said. If we have the help of Mu Tianyang and the demon ancestor, then it shouldn't be a problem. Madman nodded and pondered for a while before saying, but just in case, I still need to go to the Black Tortoise world and absorb the evil energy. Go to the Black Tortoise world to absorb the evil energy? The white-eyed wolf paused and frowned. The Black Tortoise world is peaceful, there shouldn't be much evil energy, right? No, no, no. Although the Black Tortoise world is peaceful now and the beings of the Black Tortoise world are friendly, no matter who it is, they will more or less have evil thoughts, resentment, evil thoughts, killing thoughts, etc. As long as there are these negative emotions, a large amount of evil energy will be born. Of course. The evil energy of the Black Tortoise world definitely can't be compared to the Divine Kingdom. However, if I take the initiative to absorb it, it will cause a huge commotion. At that time, it will definitely alarm the sea beasts of the taboo ocean. Madman said. How big of a commotion? The white-eyed wolf was curious. Madman said proudly, it's even bigger than when old Qin comprehended the life and death law's ultimate meaning in the Western continent. The white-eyed wolf's eyes widened. Back then, when Qin Feiyang comprehended the life and death law's ultimate meaning in the Western continent, it even shocked the Eastern continent, Southern continent, and Northern continent. Now, Madman was telling him that taking the initiative to absorb the evil energy would cause a bigger commotion than Qin Feiyang? Was it that exaggerated? You still don't believe me? Let's go, follow me to the Black Tortoise world, I will let you broaden your horizons. After Madman said that, he looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. With a wave of his hand, the white-eyed wolf and Madman immediately appeared in the sky above the Devil's Land. Just you watch. Madman chuckled and stepped into the clouds. A blood-red aura rushed out from his body, illuminating the surroundings. This aura was the most primitive evil energy. With the appearance of this aura, the entire Devil's Land was enveloped in an evil aura, as if a peerless demon king was being born. I am the god of all evil. All the evil energy in the world, listen to my call. Madman's domineering voice sounded. Like a heavenly bell, it resounded throughout the Black Tortoise world. Boom! The next moment, the evil energy around him turned into a huge vortex that occupied the entire sky above the Devil's Land. From afar, it looked like a blood-red bottomless pit, shocking the world. The moment this vortex appeared, the white-eyed wolf standing below also gradually emitted wisps of blood energy. This blood energy also carried an evil aura. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. He reached out to grab this blood energy but found that he couldn't grab it. It floated straight towards Madman. Brother Wolf, this is your evil thoughts, killing intent, evil thoughts, resentment, and other negative emotions. Madman's laughter rang out. Damn! It can actually directly plunder these negative emotions? The white-eyed wolf was shocked. Of course. I am the god of all evil, the god who rules over evil energy. All evil energy must listen to my call. Madman laughed domineeringly. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. Suddenly, he looked at the castle and the surrounding courtyard. He found that whether it was inside the castle or the surrounding courtyard, wisps of blood energy were floating out. These blood energy were also filled with an evil aura. What's going on? What is going on? Following that, everyone in the Devil's Land ran out of the castle and the courtyard, looking at Madman in the sky in surprise. Don't be nervous, I am just plundering your evil energy. Madman laughed. Plundering our evil energy? Isn't this too abnormal? Everyone was shocked. This was the first time they saw Madman actively absorbing evil energy. At the same time, Zhongzhou, West Region, North Region, South Region, and East Region. Whether it was a human or a beast, whether it was an old man or a young man, wisps of blood energy floated out from their bodies. Only those newborn babies didn't. Because newborn babies are like a piece of white paper, they won't produce evil energy. When this scene first appeared, everyone was extremely bewildered. Some even thought that something was extracting the blood energy from their bodies, and they were all panicking. However, as time passed, they found that there was no discomfort on their bodies. On the contrary, they felt warm and comfortable all over. For a moment, everyone was puzzled to the extreme. What was going on? Because the evil energy was extracted, everyone's body and mind entered a state of being pure like a newborn baby, so they felt very comfortable. Chapter 44:01. An endless amount of evil energy gathered together and surged towards the Devil's Land. Gradually, the entire sky of the Black Tortoise world turned into a sea of blood. It was like a raging wave, filled with an astonishing evil aura. Everyone, don't panic. This is the madman extracting the evil energy from our bodies. It won't hurt anyone. As the guardian of the Black Tortoise world, Fire Lotus sensed the panic of the living beings and quickly comforted them. His voice wasn't loud, but it rang in the ears of every living being. So it's the madman's masterpiece. Extracting the evil energy from our bodies? He has such an ability. How did he do it? It's beyond our imagination. Everyone came to a realization, and what followed was shock. Extracting the evil energy from other people's bodies was simply a fantasy to them. They had never heard of it before. As the brother of the sovereign, he was indeed not an ordinary person. Outside Serene King Island, more and more sea beasts gathered. On the third day, the island was already filled with people. When these sea beasts entered the Serene King Island, they all transformed into their human forms. Because this was the only way the Serene King Island could fit them. Whoosh! On the fourth day, 10 real humans arrived at the Serene King Island. These 10 people were the companions of Dong Dayuan and Dong Yi. What's going on? When the 10 of them arrived at the Serene King Island, they were all confused when they saw the sea of people. When the Serene King sensed the aura of the 10 people, he immediately led Qin Feiyang, Dong Dayuan, and the 30 battle swords out to welcome them. Serene King, why are there so many sea beasts gathered at the Serene King Island? The 10 of them looked at the Serene King suspiciously. They also saw Qin Feiyang and Dong Dayuan, but they didn't recognize them. Let's talk inside. The Serene King led the 10 of them into the main hall. Qin Feiyang and the others followed closely behind. They are all? An old woman sized up Qin Feiyang and the others. They are this king's war generals. The Serene King smiled and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Why aren't you greeting the guests from the Central Dynasty? Greetings, my lords. Qin Feiyang and the others bowed. No need to be so courteous. We still have to thank you. Otherwise, you guys would have let the sea beasts below keep sending us messages. We might have already fallen into the hands of that little bastard Qin Feiyang. A middle-aged man with a hooked nose said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. With such a foul mouth, it seems like he really needs to be taught a lesson. It's my duty. The king of the tranquil sea waved his hand and smiled at the hook-nosed man. He then pointed to the seat beside him and said with a smile, "Sit down and talk." The 10 of them nodded. Qin Feiyang and the others stood respectfully to the side. According to my calculations, there are at least 200,000 to 300,000 sea beasts that have mastered ultimate profoundness of supreme laws in the taboo ocean. The king of the underworld said. 200,000 to 300,000. Even the people from the central dynasty were shocked and they heard this number. They did not expect the taboo ocean to be so strong. Among these 200,000 to 300,000 sea beasts, some have mastered 2 ultimate profoundness of supreme laws, and some have even mastered 4 or 5 ultimate profoundness of supreme laws. Can you imagine how many ultimate profoundness of supreme laws there are if you add them all together? Moreover, I still have over 30 generals that have grasped the will of the heavenly Tao under my command. Adding on the 10 of you, even if Qin Feiyang uses all his trump cards, it would still be difficult for him to fight against us. The king of the underworld smiled confidently. That's reasonable. The 10 of them nodded. Taking a step back, even if we can't defeat them, we can still restrain them. When the time comes, you can self-detonate and escape, then immediately assemble a large force and rush to the taboo ocean. Won't they still die then? The king of the underworld chuckled, looking as if he was devising a strategy. Brilliant. We admire you. The 10 of them cupped their hands and smiled. You flatter us. But for now, I will have to trouble you to rest on the island for a few days. When all the sea beasts that have mastered ultimate profoundness arrive, we can get ready to move. The king of the underworld said. It's fine. What kind of trouble was this? What they had experienced in the past few days was called suffering. The people of the second direct family of the central dynasty were forced to flee by 3 juniors. They couldn't help but feel aggrieved and angry just thinking about it. The king of the underworld turned to Qin Feiyang and said, "Take the 10 of them to rest. Make sure they are well settled." Yes. Qin Feiyang replied respectfully, then looked at the 10 of them and said with a smile, "Everyone, please." The 10 of them got up and walked outside. At the foot of the mountain where the main hall was, there was a residence with a good environment. There were many exquisite pavilions beside the mountains and rivers. This was where the king of the underworld used to entertain guests. Although the taboo ocean didn't have much contact with the 4 great continents and the central dynasty, they all lived on the same continent after all. So sometimes, the leaders of the 4 great continents would come to the taboo ocean for a stroll. As for the central dynasty, if someone went to the 4 great continents and passed by the taboo ocean and happened to meet the king of the underworld, they would also come to visit. In short, a place to entertain guests was definitely indispensable for a force. Qin Feiyang sat in front of a courtyard and said with a smile, "Everyone, you can rest here for the time being. I will tell them that no one will disturb you. That's for the best. We hate being disturbed the most." The old woman nodded. She thought that the sea beasts of the taboo ocean were quite sensible. Qin Feiyang smiled flatteringly. He didn't leave and seemed to have something to say. What's wrong? The 10 of them looked at him in confusion. I have a few questions, but I don't know if I should ask. Qin Feiyang hesitated. What questions? The 10 of them were puzzled. Looking at the way you are dressed, you seem to be members of the Death God Army. But I heard that the Death God Army had 5,000 people some time ago. Why are there only a few of you left now? Qin Feiyang was curious. You know about the Death God Army? The 10 of them were surprised. Qin Feiyang smiled flatteringly. With such a big commotion, it's hard not to know. That's true. The old woman nodded, then shook her head and said, however, you have to know your own identity. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask, understand? Yes, yes, yes. I was talking too much. I hope everyone can forgive me. Qin Feiyang nodded quickly. He had a terrified look on his face. It's good that you understand. Go, don't disturb us if there's nothing important. The old woman waved her hand. Yes. Qin Feiyang responded and turned to leave. Originally, he wanted to take the opportunity to inquire about the situation of the Central Dynasty, but he didn't expect this group of people to be so arrogant. Arrogant, huh? Fine. Let's see how long you can be arrogant. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.